coming. It's just a little late.
Yeah. Fire sliding fire trains. So you used to be doing maybe just, you know,
Oh,
yeah. You don't have
exactly.
yeah.
So anyway, yes, you will be ready.
So who are you gonna pretend to be?
Best thing just, well, just to remind you that Barb always does. Always.
You know this date, right? You know this date?
What project you get that one? Get that one? Ready? One day,
Right. I like them too.
one day we do get the email.
Yeah.
I'm at the cottage, first of the, where you at? Yeah. I'm at the cottage.
Was this date not on your calendar?
We're sitting up front. Give me an hour and a half, I'll be there, what I can do. So now it's the barbecue. Like Sheldon on Big Bang. Penny.
Wayne.
And that's what I love, just, you know, because,
He loves to be.
because I got cars, I got the rally, I got the boss. Bugging.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And so.
Yeah, I think
You got lots of stuff.
Well, I think one this year, one of the car units, which is fine. You know, that's why I got two trucks.
Oh, really?
Two separate jars, you know.
Yeah.
Hey, Andy,
Okay.
keep your chair warm.
Anyway, just email me. And like I said, it's all calendar.
I don't know if they'll, warning, what to say.
Like I get the one like.
The optimist says, right as well.
Yeah.
And also the challenge.
Yeah.
And I think we're gonna end up doing that anyway.
Because I don't always think I go upside check. That's why I rely on you guys to park. Not Saturday, oh, it's on Friday. Yeah, we're good, no problem. We'll be there Friday, but there's no Friday.
Yeah.
You know, but there might could be a Monday. Last year.
Reminds me, I have to send you to make sure you have Canada Day on your list, because I'm not sure it was on.
Yeah. Yeah. Just, I don't know.
Oh, that was,
Yeah.
No, like I said, I'll be talking to Kevin here.
Sorry to hear that.
Next week.
Yeah.
So just give him a copy and that, we usually go over it.
Yeah.
In attendance, eh?
Sure, Chad sent you the SAR.
Maybe people still trying to get here though.
well, there's.
Mike sent me his car.
Okay, you didn't get the bike.
Resend.
No, I'll send it. I'll send it. I have it.
Oh, yeah.
So I was, yeah.
Just.
Boy, he's kind of complained about the time.
Yeah, yeah, just looking for, and then there's a.
Anyway, maybe we're trying to.
On Canada Day, that's the one that's not gonna be on the SAR schedule. I'll send it all to you in an email.
Yeah, no problem.
Killed me one time, I'm straight.
Yes, this is.
I used to be able to do that. I have trouble now with the concept.
He calls, he comes, he does a great rally crossers.
Yeah, exactly. And I think.
STI out, collected it going on the course, but one by default, right?
Yeah.
But,
Oh, Chad, you.
I used to kind of think the same, but
Yeah, I understand.
commentary seems to come from.
Absolutely, me too. I'd rather get something in 5 times than.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, so the object this year is try to save a few dollars.
That was.
Fish in that stand and.
Andy was in hell. So you kind of.
I don't know how the staff.
So is everything like all software's updated?
Foundation.
I'll set up, test it.
Foundation.
Hook up and make sure it's got first owner and all the rest of it. And it's working.
Do it
Well,
right
we
the
gotta do
first
it. No,
time.
we can't afford to do it
And
twice.
if the fire doesn't get tied down,
But,
I'll set fire.
well, that's, so we talked about, you
It'll
know,
be a campfire.
so you would talk about that and stuff, so we want to set those things, those stands. Now, soon.
Yeah.
I should get it.
Yeah.
What do you need to put those in? The machine to put those in?
Yeah, back, you dig a hole with backhoe and you drop the anchor in whatever angle. And then there's other types. If you had, you know, like a screw pile, you can find them.
Okay. Yep.
And then there's one that are famous in the mobile home. something that can easily be done.
That's a back
And
goal number.
I didn't want.
Exactly. You and me were supporting each other.
I would think so. I forgot to ask him about it. See him in the morning.
Can you be able to get the stands ready, do you think? And down there with some of that?
I'll see how much time he's got. I don't know. I stole him in between jobs, so I'm gonna see how much we can get out of him.
I think the turn 5.
I know, I bet that's.
Turn 7.
Going right. That's on point. Yeah, we got it.
I think I understand some survived okay, some spec was good.
7, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, because 5 doesn't look.
Oh, 5, well, 5 was a mess last year. We just, I guess the roof stayed on it even though it flipped over, right?
Yeah.
That was a lot of.
There's one that the roof and 2 is fine. Completely fine.
Did it blow off or did you?
No,
fall
no,
off?
it's okay, but it's,
So yes, we're gonna have you all good to go.
Yes.
I didn't embellish the story, but that's why I know getting an excavator to set it up without a rigger is hard on the stand, because that's damage to the roof of 2. And winter fix the rest of it.
Or, how heavy did the stand be then? Only 7. A little way with it.
Well, that's-
Would be, no?
I don't think it'd be that much, but
One of the tractors that
that much
forks on,
lumber and stuff.
tractor instead of forks.
Yeah, or the excavator or the backhoe.
Okay. Have to figure that out sometime the next week or so, I guess.
Yeah, it's a matter of when we get to it.
I've got the compact tractor too, right? So we can bring that out. No, that's the minutes.
Minutes, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
Okay.
I put 2024 and like, let me know what goes wrong with that, which is, he's right about. I feel like I should have put 23.
It is 23.
It's 23.
I thought Mike gave us extra agendas to us there.
Are you? Congratulations on your new role.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's 2, isn't it?
I wasn't doing enough, Frank.
That's right. I'm not busy enough. That's right.
All the
Good
field.
stuff. Yeah, that's right.
Barb. Good, good.
Right.
Got
What do you think? Do you want to get it underway on this?
Sure.
Want to wait another couple minutes or?
Whatever you want to do. Wait a couple, I suppose. We got some.
Give another 5 minutes or so.
We zoom in. I'll read that one.
Yeah, that's gonna be tricky, I think.
Oh.
So Ian's online. So you mentioned showing up, so that's good. Made it. Okay. When we start at 6:05.
Sure. Okay.
I hear you might become a snowboarder next year. That just tell me this. Yeah. I'm the odd man out. I'm the only guy on skis, right? So
I thought you were snowboarding too.
I've got a snowboard, but I'm pretty good landing on my face with it. Usually,
Yeah.
it's okay with
Logged
snowboard.
in here. What's the hell's the
Good,
Wi-Fi?
good years ago with a snowboard, but I bought a Lib Tech there last year, and went it first this year, and I started to feel pretty good, and then cut a couple of good corners, slept in the bag and on my shoulder. Man, I used to stick with skiing. Yeah, we went Sugarloaf. The snow was horrible, right? But
What's the Wi-Fi?
Wi-Fi password.
I can't read blue.
It says H honor meeting, and I have a promotional code. It says, Dave, can you see what's on that for a code at the bottom of that Wi-Fi info there?
Hmm?
Grab the sign there, try and read the bottom of it. Standard, capital S, standard guest.
It's on my list.
Okay.
You got her?
No, not yet. Connected. Come on. Wake up. Says I'm connected, open.
No, because mine includes HST, that's all.
Out here, Bill Gates will go to work on it here shortly. That's fine. Standard guest.
Standard guest? Okay.
Surprised it doesn't find it automatically. I think I've been set up that way before. Oh, well, it'll get there eventually.
Eventually.
I've got some spare copies, I guess. Who doesn't? Who didn't get agendas and lost them? I didn't.
Sure. Yeah, I got one right here. That's the minutes here. That's the agenda here. It's the agenda right here. Do you have the agenda? Mark up all the stuff. Oh, you don't have one. He's got another one there.
I'll share.
Marking mine all over here.
You have minutes, Mike?
For you? Yeah. You need them.
Can you share?
We'll take an agenda if you have one.
How did you not get one?
I don't know.
We'll share. Okay. Brian's one short there as well, right?
No,
You good? Okay. All right, let's 6:05.
Yeah.
Ming up and rolling? You up and rolling? Okay. All right, everybody, I guess we'll call the meeting to order. This is my first run through with an AGM for Atlantic Motorsport Park. So excuse me if I miss anything and don't be afraid to correct me if I do as well. So I'd like to welcome everyone to our 2023 AGM for Atlantic Motorsport Park. I guess the first thing we should do tonight is establish who's here, and I'm just going to do a little bit of roll call. So ASCC.
Debbie Miller?
Debbie Miller. Okay. BAC.
Barb Coleman?
AFRA. On attendance. Okay. MMSC. Right. Okay. NBSCC.
Yep, here, Stacy Chapman with MBSCC.
Great. Welcome, Stacy. MRTS.
Wayne Canfield.
Wayne Canfield. FMC.
Dwight's here for FMC.
Wonderful. Welcome. ARCA. Andy Hill. And SARL. Chad Whitehead. Very good. Well, welcome everyone to the meeting for this year. So first thing that we just wanted to have a quick discussion about, which is a point that's probably pretty obvious to everyone, is we're running a little late on our AGM this year. So our apologies for that. Just trying to get agendas to align and that sort of thing this winter was a little bit difficult. We understand though that this is probably not ideal to have you all down here 2 weeks before we're about to open a racetrack. So what we'd like to do next year is we'd like to try and hold the meeting in the center of January, sort of somewhere in the middle. So that would be after, of course, most of your AGMs, but would allow us to get you kind of an interim year-end kind of idea on our financials and stuff as well. Let you know what we've been doing, and hopefully, give you a little bit more time to plan and stuff before the start of the season. So that's our thought going forward into 2020, the 2024's meeting in 2025. So hopefully, we won't have a meeting this late again. So at this point in time, we'd like to read the minutes from the last meeting, and I'm going to pass the floor over to Mike to do that. Sorry. Oh, I established a quorum. Okay. Okay. So we do have a quorum, so we can do our voting and that sort of thing today. Sorry. My apologies.
Yeah, we got 6 out of 7.
6 out of 7. Okay. All right. So, and we'll go run right into the meeting of the minutes. Without further ado. Get them online there. nationally.
Minutes?
Yes, please.
Minutes. All right, minutes of the meeting, we're reading minutes of the 2022 meeting, and everybody's allowed to triple check. Eric and I both made mistakes today on what year we're talking about, so
Little lost.
hang on to your hat. We're talking about 3 years all at the same time, and God help us if we mention history. Our AGM for 2022 was held March 19th of 23 at 11 a.m. right here at the Hampton Inn here in Truro. Call to order by Andy at 11:04. Proxies were collected. Representatives in attendance were Debbie Miller with ASCC, Bob Griffiths represented MMSC, Jim Terrio, and I forgot how to spell Terrio. That's why it says Jim T. For BAC at that meeting. ARCA was Andy Hill by proxy. FMC was Dwight Spencer online. MBSCC was Stacy Chapman online. MRTS, that's where I said Wayne said he was going to be here. MRTS was not present. AFRA was Lucas, and SARL was Chad Whitehead. I went stupid the other day and today again trying to find where I hid. The attendance sheet, I believe, is hidden in one of my accounting files. So maybe Revenue Canada has it, but when I find it, I'll attach it to these minutes. So I don't have the specific number of attendees and or the folks that were online. As 8 of the 9 member clubs and 7 of the 7 voting members were in attendance, quorum was declared by President Andy, and annual general meeting for 422 of AMP was declared in session. Mike McCray read the minutes of the 21 AGM. Errors and omissions were none at that time. Acceptance of the minutes. We always do the minutes as its own self-standing motion. The motion that was moved to accept the minutes as read was made by AFRA. It was seconded by MMSC, and the motion carried. Business arising from the minutes. The generator, which is used to supply emergency power for the well pump, needed to be repaired. There were issues with repairing it, and the executive made the decision to purchase a new generator. Purchase of a new FOD boss was reported at that time as well. And any other additional items were to be discussed as new business. President's report, Andy Hill presented a written report covering the 22 season. And the vice president's report, Brian Gay did the same, covered scheduling calendar details over the previous season and the calendar details for the upcoming expectations it was. The treasurer's report, Dave Hall gave a report, and further detail was provided by Alan Gray. Revenues totaling 83,394 were reported for the year. Expenses of 82,677 and a profit of $717. Black ink, there you go. Savings account, which was the Luger Fund, at that time stood at 205,924. And we had other liquid assets of 47,198. And the reports are on file as attached. Motion to accept the 3 previous reports. It was moved by SARL, seconded by BAC, and the motion passed. Motion that the members ratify the actions of the board of directors and officers of the society for 2022. That was moved by ASCC, seconded by AFRA, and the motion passed. There was no discussion of old business. Under new business, calendar and planning, the calendar is current and up to date. Brian would report that. The main news is that we will close the season down early to allow the Luger construction project to start in mid-September. Under pricing and rates, it was decided to increase the rental rate for 2023 at the 21 AGM. This rate increase will now go into effect. The motion was moved by MMSC and seconded by, I didn't get the seconder noted there. I will undertake to go back through my notes and find that. The motion passed was the good news. Property management. There were no significant improvements made to AMP. That's a hard thing to say, but everything's significant at AMP. But there were no improvements noted for 22, other than the notable work parties, and a considerable amount of white paint was applied to many areas of the facility. Thanks again to our volunteers. 2023 plans, SARL reported that they plan to have another work party to concentrate on painting again and grass and cracks and bottle bags once more. Track project priorities. The track's main resources will be held until they can be combined into the large project scheduled for September, October 23. There will be a review of a couple of problem areas, and we may need to do some emergency repair before we open for 23. Areas specifically discussed were T1B, T2A, and Turn 9. Signage and billboards. The members reviewed the rates as recommended at the 21 AGM. An increase in rates was planned for 24. The comfort station, water supply and plumbing, it's an annual item. Our plumber has been contacted and the systems will be restarted for the season and necessary repairs completed. It was for information only at that meeting. Must do work, acquiring a new FOD boss was reported upon. It is now at the track. Under food service, possibilities were reviewed as always. The need to coordinate with AMP and the other promoters on the food service possibilities was reiterated. The requirement to show AMP, the food vendor's insurance certificate, is a requirement. I think everybody understands that. One vendor was specifically mentioned, and my notes didn't make a lot of sense, but we talked about Barnyard Grill. I think I didn't put it down in writing because I think the sense of it was that we were going to see if they were interested in servicing more events or more groups. Other 23 plans are TBA. Under other, there were infield improvements, pet project to get some crushed stone spread in the infield road, and that was we just reported that that was going to happen when the right equipment was on site to spread it. Buying crushed stone is quite easy. Spreading it isn't as easy, unless you like shovels. Nova Scotia Power, there's an ongoing service issue with the night lights. Exec to take action. Alliant, there's ongoing overhead wire issues with Alliant. During this discussion, the need for telephone at the track was discussed and found to no longer be required. A motion to discontinue the phone service and its expense was made by SARL and seconded by MMSC. The motion passed. We went to everybody's favorite elections. Under Secretary, Mike McRae was nominated by ARCA, seconded by SARL, and Mike accepted the nomination and returned as AMP Secretary. Under President, Eric Stanley was nominated by SARL and seconded by AFRA. Eric accepted the nomination and the group accepted him as the new AMP President. Under 13 is the appointment of officers of the society, and that was Chris McRae under cars, Chad again under motorcycles. Wayne Canfield was medical rescue, we assumed, in his absence. We didn't tell him he had a choice in the year in between either. ARCA was Arlene Chase, Solar Sport, Ming Duck Wong, and under our at-large positions, there's Darren Marshall, Stephen Lockhart, and Walter Tennant. The meeting was adjourned on a motion by BAC that was seconded by AFRA, and that motion passed.
Okay.
Any errors or omissions or typos or?
One typo, ARCA there for your, like, no new black ARCA.
It is too.
Still read the same.
ARCA.
Grab a couple of cans.
Sure.
I got it right in the next paragraph. Yeah, weird.
Anything else arising there? Okay. Can we get a motion to accept the minutes from 2022?
MBSCC will move for that.
And okay, so we'll use MBSCC and MMSC for a second. Okay. Very good. Okay, so at this point, I'll read the President's Report from 2023. Make sense? I'm on to that. So this is my first year, so I'll just, this
Yeah,
is
we
one
should vote.
vote, sorry. Okay, sorry, you're like, okay, so. Vote?
Before you read.
Okay.
Motion to accept.
Motion to accept minutes, okay? Motion to accept the minutes. Okay? That's Arca. All in favor? Aye. All
Aye.
opposed? Okay, motion passed.
You think you're at work, don't you?
I must. My first year, they have to forgive me for this.
No
I thought it was just a motion in the past, so I didn't realize we had to vote on all that.
Oh, I
stuff,
gotta
so-
vote, yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's why everybody thinks this is fun. That's why everybody's doing this tonight.
It's
They get to vote.
it's a vote, not a motion in a second. Okay. I'll try and keep that as we go forward. Okay, so President's Report from 2023. So 2023 was my first season as president at AMP. Very grateful to the board that's sitting in front of me, Mike, Brian, and Dave, for all of their guidance throughout this year. We started the season needing to complete a pavement repair in turn 2, where the pavement had deteriorated from use. It was a little bit difficult last year to do that. Road closures, you know, and that sort of thing in the spring complicate that sort of stuff. And our schedule is pretty tight between those road closures and when we get moving. So we decided we worked through that, and to get it repaired early enough to get the pavement to cure was a bit of a challenge. Small mistake with the grinder when we were actually doing the milling of the pavement caused a bit of a problem when they touched the end of the concrete, which ended up creating a little bit of a bump at the end of that. The upper patch exiting toward 3 was also somewhat substandard. Mike and I met with Basin to discuss that shortly thereafter and discuss repairing the patch. And we decided that anything that was attempted at that point in time would likely make matters worse or interfere with the race schedule. So we made the decision to hold off with that repair and add it to the major construction project we had going on in the fall. There were 2 major work parties early in the season by SARL, focused on repainting barriers, curbing, electrical buildings, and the comfort station. The Marshall stand in 7 was replaced and built anew, and the Marshall stand in 5 was repaired. The stand in 5 will likely need replacement in 2024 and 2025, as it certainly has been rotten and probably requires a little bit more attention. The shared C-cam was also tidied, and new shelving was donated by Halifax Trailer Company to help organize space for all those that use it. There were several other work parties organized by member clubs to help clean up and maintain the track through what could only be described as an unusually wet summer. Thank you to all the clubs who participated in those work parties. We certainly couldn't do this without your generous donation of time and skill. We had a very successful event with Subaru last year that was headed up mostly by Dave and Brian, and was brought a significant amount of revenue to the track and to AMP, of course. Special thanks to Dave and Brian for all their hard work to organize and make that the great corporate event it was. Hopefully it will be the first of many more successful events to come. CSBK was and is always a busy weekend, but for this year it was for all the wrong reasons. On Friday night, Nova Scotia was hit with a once in a 100-year storm, which took out a bridge on North Salem Road. This not only forced the cancellation of the event, but left a few hundred racers and fans stranded until Sunday night. Thank you to all of those that made calls to local decision makers and various levels of government to get that bridge repaired, moved to the very top of a long list of repairs required in the province, so we could get everyone out in a safe and timely manner. We had a few other minor issues: gravel traps washing onto the track surfaces, racetrack road washout, amongst others, that made for an interesting first year for me, for sure. Everyone worked together to keep events running smoothly despite the challenges. Thank you to everyone that helped to keep things moving the right direction and make decisions quickly so as not to interfere with our event schedule. Track improvements. AMP received a large donation upon Derek Luger's passing a short while ago. Because of that tremendous generosity, Derek Luger and his $250,000 gift to AMP, we've been able to complete another major resurfacing project at AMP last fall. Working with the executive and the member clubs, I think we've addressed several pressing problem areas that will make the facility safer and faster for 2024. Turn 1, Turn 5, Turn 2, and the back straight roller coaster have all had attention paid to them within the scope of this project. Great care was taken by the board to try and dispatch these funds where they were most needed, where our collective members would get the maximum benefit. There were several other contributors that made this possible as well. Thank you for your generous contributions. Donations were as followed: Derek Luger Fund for $250,000, MMSC for $3,000, AFCC for $2,500, and SARL for $60,000. There's an additional contribution that should be gratefully acknowledged, and it was given to AMP by Craig McDonald from CC McDonald Plumbing of Halifax, Nova Scotia. Craig donated $15,000 toward the guardrail improvement and gravel trap installation in Turn 2. This is a very important improvement which should greatly increase the safety margin for vehicles entering Turn 2. many thanks again to Craig for helping us with that donation and getting that project done. In conclusion, it's been a year of learning about the history, structure, priorities, and inner workings of AMP for me this year. I look forward to serving the member clubs in 2024. For informational purposes, we have both the vice president and treasurer positions being reelected today at the AGM. We hope we'll see everyone there. Eric Stanley. Okay. If that helps. And at this point in time, we'll invite Brian to give the vice president's report for this year.
AMP VP report 2023. 2023 season has long been over, and I know everyone is getting ready for 2024. With planned early closure for the track during the fall of 2023, the season got underway earlier than normal. Thankfully, Mother Nature was working with us, and we had a fairly mild winter and not a super wet spring, which is what allowed the season to actually get started early. Season began with the usual bicycle race, followed quickly by every weekend being booked by car and motorcycle clubs to host their events. The season ended early with the JCM and Mac and Jack winding down late September. Help from many, we were able to host a huge Subaru Canada dealer principal gathering. This event was a 9-day corporate rental with over 70 cars delivered to the track by tractor trailer load after tractor trailer load for Subaru Canada to have fun. With CSBK under new ownership, we were able to maintain that corporate event coming to AMP, and they plan to return in 2024. That was a weekend to remember, as it happened to land at the same time as our July torrential downpour, which resulted in event cancellations, roads being washed out, and stranded people at the track. SARL members and others immediately stepped up for track repairs to support the facility and return it to operational condition as soon as possible. Special thanks to Chad Whitehead for managing the track while stranded there and even trying to have some fun given the circumstances. On the financial side, for how the track rentals are broken down in an annual summary for 2023, the rentals are as follows. Now, keep in mind, these are just these numbers that I'm going to say are what I invoice. So they include radio rental, track rental, fob boss, everything, and HST all in one, which Dave's report is much more detailed and broken down. But SARL continues to be the #1 contributor at almost $26,000. The Subaru event came in second at $15,000. It's been a long time, but ARMS surpassed 670761, bringing in 12,000. 670761 was just shy of 10. Professional Motorsports Productions Inc., which is CSBK, that was 85. The Acadia Region PCA, the local Porsche club, they continue to be a regular customer, and they had quite a few track days last year, so they actually brought in $5,200. AFRA was 23, ASEC just under 1,000. BAC had a cross that previous winter, so that was just under 500, and of course the bicycle race itself was just under 400. So for a total of around $80,500. But like I said, that includes HSD, which I know Mike hates. But that's what my software spends there.
You're not getting paid sales commission on HST, Brian. I don't care who you work for.
As everyone is aware by now, I have decided to not reoffer for the term position as your VP. This is a decision I have personally struggled with for the last year, and it's not been taken lightly. I'm sad and happy all at the same time. Sad to be not be a part of this wonderful facility many of us call our second home. Happy that I'll be okay with my decision to leave and know that everything will continue to run smoothly without me. 12 years ago, when I started to help Walter in the background before being elected as VP 10 years ago, while eager to help, I realized there was a lot of work to do. I think about how far we've come together as a board of directors between establishing what the track actually costs to rent to multiple $100,000+ projects that have been paid in full and on time, managing customer relations, managing owner relations, actual rental agreements in place, copies of insurance certificates, everything required to run, protect, maintain, and improve our facility for you, the owners. This is been truly a rewarding and frustrating position at times. We have always been able to work through any challenges that arose. I am still an active racer after 26 years. I will still be lurking around in the background. You haven't totally gotten rid of me for now, but thank you for putting your trust in me to represent you as AMP's VP for so long. Yours in motorsport, Brian Gay.
As a former president, I'd like to thank you for
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you, Brian.
doing what you did, because it.
Thank you for your time, Brian.
Thank you, Andy. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess at this point, we'll move along to the treasurer's report with Dave and some assistance from Alan on the numbers.
Sure.
And if you could take the floor, Dave, where we go?
Well, I arrived here and I sat down, I scribbled a whole bunch of stuff. I worked real hard last night and wrote my report. Thought I'd read it again, proofread it, and fix it up a little bit today. Anyways, I did that and I printed it off just before supper, and it is still sitting on my printer at home. So I had to try and recreate it. So the numbers I'm going to give are kind of approximate as compared to what I would have done otherwise. When we get to the actual numbers, I got some stuff already done up here for you. Anyways, I would like to also say thank you to Brian personally. There's in the last 2 years, there's been a lot of work between the two of us, figuring out invoices and figuring out how things need to be collected and that type of thing. And it was very good that he was able to look back in his records and give me information and that type of thing. So anyways, thank you, Brian.
Welcome, Dave.
So 2023 Treasurer's Report. This has been an interesting year for both AMP and myself. I'll start off by saying the 9-day Subaru event, of which I spent 8 days at the track. Plus there was 4 pre-event meetings at the track with the Subaru people that I was at all those. I really got to see how large corporate events work. And it's amazing the amount of work that these people put into this sort of thing. And they're sitting in Toronto and dealing with us in Nova Scotia and making everything work. Anyways, there was a lot of work done over the year, especially this past winter, to the tune of approximately $370,000. And it's just finishing up for the track to be open in a couple of weeks. I personally wrote the largest check that I've ever written in my life in December, and that was $255,000, and that was like, whoa. Anyways, not my money, but would have been nice if it was. There was mention of the in the minutes of the Nova Scotia Power and their street light, night light issue. I spent 9 months in discussions with them, and by the time we were done, ended up with 3 new LED streetlights, and which saves us approximately $50 per billing. And we also got a $450 credit and customer relations bonus, or whatever they called it, for the past 2 years of our complaining. So I want to thank Alan Gray for all his help over the past 2 years for me. I'm sure that I would have managed to blunder through it eventually, but with Alan's help, things went much easier. AMP this is my thinking anyways, AMP is famous for running on a shoestring. But, to me, it's more like running on a thread that's ready to break. And my other thing, and the board will say, oh yeah, not again. In my opinion, AMP is discounting itself into bankruptcy. And, anyways, we, the board, have discussed a number of, potential solutions, and we will be presenting them later in the meeting for your, discussion and, hopefully your decision that, we will be able to move forward and try and correct this problem. That's it for my report this way with the written thingy. How many of these I got to pass out? It's, member groups first, but I know for sure. And, we can do some sharing, and whatever's left over, we can, now, who doesn't have one? A couple extras. Who else wants one? Hmm? Yes. Don't want one? Okay, yeah, you got it. Okay. Anyways, the statement of income. We also show our, what we were thinking of as a budget for, 2024 there. And, anyways, track rentals for, 2023 come in at, 66,000. Radio rentals at 3. So our total operating revenue was 69,000. Our current year contributions 18. Amortization of deferred contributions almost 11,000. Got a little bit of interest from our savings account to $603. So our total other revenue was 30,000, which brought us to a total revenue of $99,532. So on our expense side, I guess the typical expenses, fees and licenses, amortization of our equipment, bank service charges, insurance, office expenses, property taxes, some miscellaneous expenses, track and ground repairs, 27,000. Management fees, 4,200. Garbage pickup, 4,100. Comfort station repairs, almost 4,000. Grass cutting, almost 16,000. Radio repairs and some purchases, 1,698. Telephone bills of 1,488. That's mostly for our internet. And something with that, I was looking at the bill the other day, and for we have a telephone number. We have to have one according to Bell, whether we want one or not.
Thanks.
And we get one, listing of that telephone number. But we've been paying for a second listing for, I don't know how many years. And so I called them and asked them about it, I guess a month ago. And at that point, they told me that I didn't have authority to talk to them about AMP's telephone because I wasn't on the list. So I had to get Mike to call them and tell them that I was allowed to be on the list so I could talk to them. And anyways, I haven't got back to talking to them yet. And we've got almost $2,500 in Nova Scotia Power bills. So for a total of $97,155 in expenses, which, believe it or not, we actually came ahead $2,377. So. Go over to our balance sheet. Okay.
Under other revenue, that currently contributions for operations primarily represents the JCF, the Mac and Jack, and the MCCA, member capital cost allowance. Primarily, there's a couple of other little bits in there. The other revenue, this case, we was talking about that. And the amortization of deferred contributions, just to give a brief explanation of that. There's two types of contributions AMP receives. One for capital, one for operations. Track is given money specifically for capital projects, which is in the capital. If it is capital contribution, it doesn't show up on the income statement directly. It shows up on the cash flow statement, you see it on the balance sheet. Where it does show up in the income statement, it's that second line, amortization of deferred contribution. So the capital money is being spent. You have contributions on behalf of that capital spent. They're both amortized at the same rate. So the amortization of the asset is down in expenses called amortization. And the amortization of contributions is up in other revenue for the contributions. Just brief explanation of that. Ask a question? Yes.
Absolutely.
Under the expenses, the amortization is like almost twice what it was last year.
It's the depreciation of the paving asset.
You're looking at the budget versus the actual? I'm just looking at the, yes. So the budget of 44.9 for next year, which hasn't gone on to yet, is because of the large expenditures that were made in of 2023 capital. It wasn't amortized in 2023, but it's going to be amortized in 2024.
No, please, be my guest. You know this stuff in much better detail or much more detail than I do. So I guess we go to the balance sheet. And our current assets, and these are based on December 31st of 2023. So savings account was $11,641. And our checking account had $73,203. We had accounts receivable of $280. HST receivable of $39,000 for total current assets of $124,005. If you want to know the actual numbers for the checking and saving as of 4:30 this afternoon, checking is $99,269. And savings is $11,649. So we've got $8 in interest in the last 4 months savings. So we're doing really good there. But of that money, $94,000 of it is currently earmarked for the project that we're just in the process of completing. So it's not like we have a lot of money at 94,000. We're just waiting 66,000. We've already got the bill for that, but we're looking for another 32,000 approximately. We're waiting for that invoice. So
That's the holdback for, that we had for Basin. at
the
end
whole,
of it.
yes, the 66 is the holdback for Basin, and then the 32 is the eastern fence.
Turn two, yeah.
Then we get down to, where we look at our capital assets. The land, the Guthrie Building, Comfort Station hasn't changed, since in the past while. Paving, paddock, track improvements, 592,000. Equipment and that sort of thing, a guardrail, fog boss, PA, generator, new well, and that sort of thing, for a total of 120,000. And then we take off the accumulated amortization. So anyways, we have a net capital assets of 756,000. And our assets are showing as 880,000. Now Alan can explain this much better.
Well, you're gonna find the only difference is in the track improvements, 542. That's the money that is all the money that's at the end of 2023 capital improvements. So the also just to note, the HST receivable was received. It's in
Yes,
the bank account, probably partly spent.
yes, it's waiting to be spent. Liabilities and equity, account payable. At that point, it was 66,100, and that was our holdback for Basin. We've incurred more expenses since then, obviously, but we're talking December 31st of 2023 here. So liabilities at that point were 66,000. Long-term liabilities, maybe you can explain that one, Alan.
Well, that's the deferred contributions.
Yeah, oh, yes, right.
When they are received for capital contributions, this is where they go. Now, this is net of amortization, so it's not the 100% number. Certain amounts amortized in the last several years, but people have contributed in prior years. So this is the net number. Like what's landed on the balance sheet as of this year. It's been a lot of capital contributions over the years.
So anyways, our total liabilities are, and along with our other, 249,000. Recent numbers from the previous year were 628,000. Earnings, 2,000. Retained earnings are 631,000. So anyways, our total liabilities and equity total 880,000. Plus or minus. More plus, I guess. Cash flow. Cash used in operations. Yeah,
Yeah.
please. there's,
First section, the cash used in operations, that's basically the income statement is 2377, but amortization expense and amortization of deferred contributions are not cash items. So they get
Added back.
added back and deducted off this. So if you look at 39,000, that's what the track generated in cash flow from operations for 2023 at 39,000. Next number, of course, purchase of capital assets. That's the work that was done at the end of 2023. And next line, cash from financing. We had track had 78,000 increase in contributions for capital this year. So overall, there was a decrease in cash during the year of almost $162,000. That was obviously not spent on capital assets. That's all of that.
so I hope that was clear as mud. And if there are any questions or detailed questions, we will present.
I'll answer for you with the telephone while it's two listings. It's because once upon a time you had to have a telephone directory.
Yellow
And
pages?
no, just regular telephone directory. And because of where AMP is located, it was only in the Truro book. So to be in the Halifax book, where most people live, you had to pay extra. So that's why it has to. You had to be in the one where you were,
Located.
and to be in another one where people would actually see it.
Yeah.
Has been necessary since the internet, of course. That's why there's two.
Okay, well, then when I talk to them, I will cancel that.
Yeah.
Because obviously we don't even have a phone. We do have a number, we don't have a phone. But,
Secretary's been out for a while.
yeah.
There's one time I called them and used that number and they didn't like it because they knew the number wasn't connected and they didn't know what the hell to do.
Oh, sorry.
So any questions about the financial statements? You know, that we certainly have had some major capital expenditures this year and you know, we have the experts in the room. So if anybody has any questions they'd like to ask or something they don't understand, please speak up. We'd be happy to answer them for you.
Try to answer them.
Yeah.
Alan will answer them, I will try.
So the good news is the racetrack looks great. It does. I mean, it's, you know, this has been a big project this year and you know, certainly a lot of effort has gone into it on all parties here to make sure it's done well and that the money was allocated, you know, well as well. So things are expensive as we know. So, you know, it was quite an expensive project, obviously. But I think everybody's, once they hit the first wheel hits the track this year, I think everybody's going to be pretty pleased with what was done. Bicycles are going to love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really smooth. So, no, it's great.
They're not worried out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. We're blaming it on the bicycles, right? You guys can't come back. Well, thank you very much, Dave. Really appreciate that. And thank you very much, Alan, for going through those things. You know, you know, we are your representatives and custodians here. So certainly if you have questions at any point in time, we'd be happy to answer that. Alan. Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, we
There
can
we
do
go.
that now.
Jumping ahead, sorry.
As you notice on the first page of the first column of the statement of income, we put together a budget. We were kind of assuming numbers close to last year, but we looked at some of them and raised the expense cost a little bit because we all know the cost of everything has gone up. It certainly hasn't gone down. But when we set up the budget, Alan and I talked about this a bit. And because at that point, we didn't have another Subaru type rental that would see us with a $15,000 or in that vicinity rental. And at that point, after discussing with the board, it appears as though we had not approved a 10% annual raise in the fees for 2024. We just set the budget up without that extra dealing with Subaru and without a cost increase. At the bottom, you will notice that we are looking at a $19,800 deficit. A big chunk of that is probably tied up into the amortization of the fact that we put a whole $300,000 or so worth of pavement on the ground and didn't claim it last year. We're going to have to claim it this year. And the other thing being is we don't have an increase in fees built into this budget because it wasn't approved last year.
Didn't we talk about that last year?
We raised the rates last year.
Oh, we did last
Yeah,
year?
we did last year.
Okay.
Yeah, but we didn't talk about an ongoing amount. So
Yeah, so that's why there's not a built-in or not an increase built into this. So that is this is basically where we stand from.
No, I'm just gonna say, Dave, if you're talking about the amortization section. If the budget comes off exactly as is there on the sheet, the track will be down $16,500 in cash. That's without any capital expenditures or anything else next year. They'll be down $16,500 in cash next year from operations. Doesn't have anything to do with capital. Just a reference.
Yeah. So anyways, that's what this is basically what we are looking at. That's why I say we're not running on a shoestring budget. We're on a thread budget, and it's ready to break at any point. And anyways, the later on, I guess we are going to, under new business, probably we're going to make some presentations as to possible ways to hopefully resolve this issue starting this year, moving forward, and hopefully we will. And since the budget was put together, we have gotten a 3-day corporate rental. A 3-day corporate rental, which is slightly is only a third of what the Subaru rental brought us, but at least it mitigates a little bit of it, but not to, unless we can get another Subaru type rental, we got to look at other options. So anyways, that's where we stand with that. I don't know if we want to make a motion that the budget is presented or
I think it was a ratification of the action of the boards. Is that what we do, or is it the motion?
No, we usually, the last three reports, we are covered under one motion. So the only question would be whether or not you want to break them up, or ratification is a piece of business after that.
Okay, so we probably just want to put a motion for ratification together. What did you say? Of the three?
No, the ratifications is separate.
Go ahead, sorry, Graham.
Just one question on the budget.
Absolutely.
I think is what you're saying that the budget is based on rental calendar that you can see now. Is that
Yes. Yeah. Minus, but in addition to that extra $5,000.
based on what's?
Yeah.
based on what we saw the rental calendar being as of December 31st.
And is there room to increase the number of rentals?
Yes.
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 Yes, there is.
Like, is there?
And
any-
there's multiple rentals been added to that since December.
Yeah. Is that budget is based on what we.
He
know
said it was
today.
December's.
Is it December the 31st, based on what we know today, isn't it?
No,
No,
based on
the
what-
budget's
December.
based on what
Okay.
we knew December 31st.
Okay, but there's another $5,000 to that, or is there more than another $5,000?
more than that.
More than that.
Well, there's probably more than that, but right now we're looking at, we're still looking at a fairly large deficit.
Okay.
It probably isn't $20,000.
Do you have an
Yeah.
estimate, Brian, roughly about from what you're seeing in terms of bookings?
No, I'd be guessing.
I'd be guessing, okay.
Well, I probably added 25 days since then.
Yeah, you need to, pump up those numbers a bit if you want to be number 2 on the list again.
Take all Mike's money.
Well, you gotta count my cousins as in with me, not against me.
Anyways, like we're still,
My MPCA another day.
we're still not gonna have a $20,000 increase. So we are still looking at a deficit, so. At the present, the way it is right now.
More questions on the budgets or on the financial results from last year?
Dwight here,
Dwight?
FMC. Just a quick question, thanks. On the amortization, I'm just kind of curious what that cost is, just for us, me, not knowing what it is.
Sure, it's so the amortization is basically we're writing down the paving and the pavement improvements as we go along. So that's why there's such a big gap between what the amortization was scheduled to be or was last year and what we're expecting it to be this year.
Okay.
Where we've added another $300,000 or so dollars to that amount. The depreciation is increased because of that pavement improvement.
We capitalize things like paving and things like guardrail.
Yeah.
Cutting grass, you don't capitalize that.
Expense that, yeah.
Okay,
And so it's just basically it's an increase in capital assets and the writing and the portion that we're writing that down, for next season.
Okay.
So as Alan mentioned earlier, it is a non-cash expense, but by the same token, we're depreciating, the capital assets of the club each year.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
That answer that okay? Any other questions that we can answer for anyone? No? Okay. So motion to accept the report. So motion of the ratification. Okay, so we can have a motion to accept the reports. ASCC and a second to that motion.
FMC.
Okay. FMC. Or Gramsci. We're using it as a backup, eh? So we need to vote on that as well.
Yes.
Okay, so, okay,
Every
all right,
month,
so,
a vote.
so can we do, let's do a vote, a motion. So we're gonna have a vote, I'm sorry, to accept the reports, as presented today.
The president's, vice president's
Report
report
and the treasurer's report. So all in favor?
Aye.
And all opposed? Okay, so motion carried,
Motion is passed.
motion is passed. So then do we need a second motion for the ratification of this?
That's the biggest motion of the year,
Okay, all right.
right there.
So can we have a motion for ratification of the action of the Board of Directors and Officers of the Society for 2023? SARL? And a second, please? MMSC? Can't always be the bridesmaid on that one, eh? So now we'll actually have a vote for the ratification of the actions of the Board of Directors and Society for 2023. So all four? Okay. So we get MMSC, BAC, SARL, ASCC. We've got FMC and MBSCC. Okay, and AFRA as well. Wonderful. So motion carried. Okay, so at this point, we'll talk, maybe we can talk about some old businesses and we're just looking for anything from the floor in terms of the old business we've discussed.
I guess.
Okay.
Nothing.
Nothing at all. Okay. So let's move into new business. So to start that off, we're going to move it over to Brian here and talk about what the bookings look like for 2024 thus far.
So for 2024, for the most part, it's business as usual. Most every weekend is already booked. There's still a few weekends available. Mike's Club has continued to occupy a lot of the weekdays, which is lovely. And just a couple weeks ago, we signed with Carson Exports to host a car show at the end of August. So that's our corporate rental Dave mentioned. It's a 3-day rental. The car show is only 1 day, but set up, event day, tear down. Happens to land on a weekend, which is good. That's our prime dollar time. Carson's is going to try and make this the largest car show Land Canada's ever seen. So they're going to be putting a lot of effort into this car show held at the track. I think they plan on lining the whole track with cars. So to see the show, you're going to walk the track, kind of thing. So and not driving.
No,
Right, no driving. It's not a driving event, and it's a stationary event, and not a car show in the paddock type area. They want other vendors and things like that there. So that's their plan. We have a signed contract with them already. That's it for.
that's it for that.
Yeah, that's it for
Can I
bookings.
ask one?
Yep.
Well, not-
Yeah, absolutely.
With so many people coming to the track, like vendors, that never been there before possibly, they know not to drive stuff through the pavement and all that, right?
That's all part of our rental agreement. Yeah. Our corporate rental agreement is quite a bit more detailed than the owner rental agreement. So
Should you do this? Should
much
you do
more of
that?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
much more of a legal document, so that
Yeah.
they sign.
Yeah, I'm trying to make sure we protect the facility for sure. Question online, okay?
And we even actually added, we even added stipulations like, I don't know how, obviously some of these cars are gonna be old. If
Yeah.
any of them leak, they need to put something underneath them.
Yep.
Kind of thing. Like they know the track has to be in the exact same condition when they're done as when they started. So, and they 100% respect that and are on board.
It's exciting.
They're car people at heart, so they do understand that.
That's right.
I think it's August
That's
30th or 31st, whatever that last.
Why would you ever
weekend
want to
is.
leave? We had another question online as well.
Yeah, do I had a question? That's actually cool as hell. Is that listed anywhere online where we could share it across the club sites?
That's not yet.
It's in the count. I've seen some advertisements from Carson's on Facebook already. So,
Okay.
I mean, their show to advertise. It's just, it shows up as a calendar booking and on the AMP site. That's it.
Okay.
It does say Carson Exports car show, I believe. So,
I
but
should,
no, they're doing all the promotions for it. Not
Okay.
us. We're just a rental facility.
Sure, it'll be up there.
Yeah, they got a few months.
What's up with that? All right, well, I get the fun one. So, well, I think after having the chat and going through our treasurer's report this year, we're the custodians of this. You elect us to try and take the best care of this facility and use your money as wisely as we can. And also try and, make recommendations to you, when we need to make some changes in order to make sure that the facility is there long-term and that sort of thing as well. So we recognize a couple of things. Recognize number one, this is April the 27th, 26th. It's very late in the year. We recognize that all of the clubs have likely done their planning for the year, set their budgets for the year, and made plans for how they're going to use their funds for the year. As you can see, through Dave's explanation, of course, and of course through Alan's guidance, we're tight, I don't want to scare anybody. I don't think there's a fear necessarily, but I think that, when we look at this track over the next number of years, we look at what things cost today compared to what they costed even 3 or 4 years ago. They've gone up pretty significantly. I think that anybody that's been around, that's hired a contractor or bought a stick of wood since 2020 probably realizes that. So this track's been around a long time, and I think this organization has done a very good job of maintaining the facility, and I think that this community has done a very good job protecting and building and giving us the incredible facility we have today. The reality of that is that there's still a lot of infrastructure that is deteriorating at the racetrack, and we'll go over some of that here as we talk with Mike, through the improvements we've done, the improvements that we'd likely need to do in the near future. Our recommendation. So one of the things that we talked about as a board is do we keep pushing this corporate rental rate up, and do it that way each year, or do we look at we kind of that number is almost a fictitious number in some ways. It seems like even everybody almost gets a discount off this number, and as Dave mentioned, you can kind of discount yourself into bankruptcy if you're not careful with some of this stuff. So our recommendation is that maybe we look at what we're offering for member club and other user discounts at the track, and maybe put a more realistic discount place instead of saying, hey, well, listen, everybody's going to get, 45, 55% off our regular rate. Maybe we should look at a lesser discount of our corporate rate, so we don't scare people off with that number if they want to rent the track, those corporations. But again, have a little bit more realistic number each day. So our recommendation is that we reduce that discount by about 10% for everyone that uses the facility. And again, it is up to the member clubs as to whether or not and when that needs to happen. But the truth is that the money is going to be the money, right? If we're not, there's nothing frivolous about this racetrack. There's nothing, there's not a bunch of extra costs or salaries. There's certainly no wages getting paid to anyone out here other than the person that mows the grass. We need to be, we realize we need to be very, very efficient with that money. So, at this point in time, we'd like to make that recommendation, and it's up to you if someone wants to make, one of the clubs wants to make a motion to act on that this year. If you want to make a motion to act on a portion of that this year, if you'd like to propose something different, we'd like to put it out there for discussion. So we'll open the floor to that at this point. Chad, go ahead. Okay. Okay. Other thoughts on that?
How much revenue do you see that generating? Put in place based on the budget?
Based on the budget. Well, that's, we should have worked that out before we came here.
Just to add to what Eric said,
Yeah.
so I do all the invoicing, so therefore I also do the owner discounts. The owners are the majority incomes in the track.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make a lot of sense for us to keep bumping up the list price or the corporate rental price, because we don't have hardly any corporate rentals. It'd be nice if we, had a lot, but we don't. So that's not our majority revenue. It's the actual owners and users of the track.
Or extra weekends to rent if we did that either.
Right.
It's booked.
So that's why we felt the recommendation, for you guys to discuss is to reduce the discounted rate and not necessarily increase the list price.
But that slices both ways. The problem we dealt with it in the past was that we don't charge strangers enough. And so it's
If anybody's not, for the owners here,
Both
if
should get
anybody
increased.
doesn't know off the top of your head, the owners get 55% discount.
But it's only the people who are, the owners are only the people that are listed on the list, on the quorum list, right?
Yes.
They're the only ones getting a discount?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
No,
Wow.
Okay.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
CSBK got a 25% discount.
Yeah.
In 2023.
Okay.
Yeah. 670761 gets a 45% discount
So what's that?
MHPDC.
Okay, so why do they get a discount if they're not a member club?
because it's
So-
almost through MMSE. So it's just a subsidiary of MMSE.
But it's not MSC, it's a different name.
So-
it was based on being a volume
Volume.
customer.
Yeah, it's the volume more than anything, Phil. So they're one of the biggest renters at the track. And so we've treated them with not a member club level discount in the past, but with a significant discount, recognizing that they're renting the facility and committing to renting the facility regularly. They're also filling up weekdays, principally weekdays all the way through the year. Which is time that we might otherwise not be able to rent that facility. And so it's kind of found revenue a little bit on that side of things as well. So that's the reason that's gone into that in the past. I mean, typically MMSC is usually, or MHPDC, I'm sorry, is usually number 2 in terms of rentals out of a year.
Yes.
Over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
They're usually the number 1 car rental of the facility. And as Eric said, they use up weekdays, which is great. So,
Mings,
uh,
that's the current list price.
say, weekends, 20,
It changes by the day. So
26, 20.
it changes like depending which day of the week it is, right?
Hmm.
I don't say that facetiously. It's
Okay, but
okay.
are we talking like $2,000 to rent it for a day? Like what?
We're gonna tell you right now.
Oh.
Hang tight.
Okay.
Owner rental rates 2023.
Yes, we'll give you the current ones here, Phil.
And just to remind you, when we increased the rates last year, the last time it went up besides last year was 2016.
Yeah, so it's not.
So this is list price. Monday through, Monday through,
Sorry,
Can you share that if you don't mind? Is it possible? If not, don't worry about it.
it's on his phone. We can certainly send it out to you. It's no problem to send it out to you, but it's on Brian's phone. Moment.
Monday through Thursday is
Dwight can probably steal his phone.
basically $1,040 per day. Friday is just shy of 1,400. A Saturday or a Sunday is almost 2,800. Tune and test, which has some stipulations around it, is $231. Auto slalom is $26 per competitor. And for track schools, so track schools would be the other thing that get the biggest discount of a 75% discount. But there's stipulations that go around the track schools as well. Because our thought process behind that years ago, when this was well before 2016, when we came up with this, was that every club that holds a school brings new people out, and we want those new people to continue. So that's why the track sort of supports schools. And then also just one of the stipulations around that is, I think I've got the stipulations written here. What is it? At least 75% of the event entrants shall be participating in the school. So, in other words, the day really has to be dedicated to a school, not half it being like say a lapping day for cars and half it being a school and expect to get the school discount. No, it doesn't work like that. Same with tune and test. I mean, that was designed for a single racer or two or rider to go out that has a race license or a time attack license and do exactly that, tune and test. But if anybody was to come along and want to pay regular rental prices, the tune and test actually gets the bumps.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of found money is the thought behind that
Were
stuff.
those the corporate rates or the discounted rate?
those were the corporate rates.
That's list price, and then you apply a discount
Yeah.
depending on.
So you take a Saturday at $2,800 for an owner and take 55% off of that, and that's what they pay for Saturday.
Yeah.
So,
But the test and tune rate, you don't take any money off that.
no, there's
That's
no
the
discount
actual
on
rate.
test.
There's no discount on that stuff.
No
So
discount on auto slalom per person.
does that answer those questions?
Mhm.
Relatively well for everyone. So I guess we'll leave it to the floor. I mean, at the end of the day, if someone would like to put a motion forward to decrease that discount this year, we can look at it. We're recommending a 10% discount decrease. But if there's a portion you feel that's reasonable, and we're also understand that the clubs have got their budget set, so we apologize for the timing of this, but we'll leave it to the floor.
So
Yeah.
the effect of what you're suggesting is that the rental rate for the member clubs.
Yes.
By 10%.
So
But the list price.
the discount would decrease by 10%, which is a little different than an increase.
Not much.
Right, list price would stay the same.
That's right.
But that 10% that we're talking about decreasing applies to everybody that gets a discount.
And if you'd like to propose something else, I guess the real,
Well, I'm just saying, if you leave it alone, and if you increase the list price by 10%, the discounted prices go up by 10% too. Like it's
That's-
10% for everybody.
Yeah.
Or whatever the percent is. I don't know.
well, if you'd like to make that motion, we can certainly talk about, we can certainly do that as well.
One of the things with just increasing the list price by 10% is that it works out to be only like a 4% increase in dollars and cents to AMP by the time you include the discount.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. So that's,
So
It's gonna be the discount rate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
so, and
But
because
that-
most of our rentals are discounted, then we don't see we don't see we don't see a 10% increase. We see a 4 to 6% increase.
so one of the other thoughts too is it also discredits that rate, right? When you say, okay, the rate's $2,000, they say, but you get 55% off that. Well, the rate isn't $2,000. The rate's $900 or whatever that is, right? So it's getting to a little bit more transparency in terms of what's the track actually renting for. So that's, and again, that's just a thought. you know, we can propose that any way that a member club would like to propose that in terms of a motion.
But there's some people think that list has to go too, so
Yeah.
how do you do both?
Ask the owners to put a motion for it. We can do both. You
Yep.
guys can do both if you want.
You're not gonna gain any money by raising that rate.
That's right.
That's not where your gain's gonna be. It's
Not
gonna
as
be the
much.
member clubs who are, we're the only ones keeping this place alive and we're the ones that wanna use it, so we gotta pay more to use it.
The member clubs make up the bulk of our
Right.
income every
Yeah.
year. That's why I said we can't count on corporate rentals.
So
They're icing on the cake when they come
We
along.
have to pay more to keep it running, that's gonna be up to us, not corporate.
You know, and here's the other side of this as well, is all of the money, as you can see, goes back into the facility. Right? So if there is any surplus along the way, then you're gonna see it in terms of improving this facility, right? Making it better, maintenance of the property.
There's no such thing as surplus.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can spend it somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And again, we're not talking about, you know, we're talking about basic maintenance here, like, nothing crazy. Chad, okay,
I'll second that.
okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Reduce the discount by 10%.
okay. Okay, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, does that 10% go into effect this year? I guess is the first question. And I,
Well, That's the motion that's on the floor.
and I think that's fine. I know we were talking in the race committee meeting a couple weeks ago about potential changes to costs and fees, which most people here in multiple meetings kind of know that this was kind of coming. Does that 10% get you back into a non-deficit budget for the year?
It'll help.
It will help. It won't,
Well, it'll probably be close by the time.
well, it will be closer to be non-deficit than,
Between that and your extra rentals.
Yes.
Are not taken into account, you'll probably cover.
I would say
we'll be
like.
closer, yes.
So one, and we, you probably should just talk just a little bit about the banking here as well, a little bit. So one of the things that we put a contingency plan in place, you know, if we have a bad year somewhere along the way, you know, and we didn't want to take out funds and have a loan for the track because current interest rate conditions aren't very good at the moment, right? So we've placed, what we haven't put in place is a $50,000 line of credit for AMP. So should we get into a position, you know, where there's a problem we don't foresee, you know, we don't want to have to call member clubs and go, we can't get the facility open this year. So we have a bit of a contingency plan there for AMP that doesn't cost us a lot of money to maintain. There is some monthly cost to having a line of credit available for us, but it's fairly minor, and will also should allow us to be able to properly manage the finances. And should there be something we don't foresee, not be banging on your doors very loudly at some inopportune moment. Okay.
We'll do it after we spend the money so we can pay the credit line back.
That's right. Yeah, we'll let you know. Yeah. Ben, go ahead.
Tom here from Lucas. Why don't we move to a simple rate card for everyone? When the season is done and the track is in the block, the track writes checks to the owners based on number of days that they have non-shared income.
I think that's kind of complicated to do today. Certainly would be open to, I'm not quite sure what that looks like, but I think we'd be open to any of those suggestions. If maybe you could kind of outline that to us, you know, not maybe before the meeting, so we can kind of discuss that a little more clearly.
Yeah, as an owner, you're absolutely allowed to propose that.
Yeah, anytime, absolutely. Anything back on that?
There's a note on your PN, is that line of credit?
Can't hear.
1.5.
The rate on the line of credit?
Is that line of credit prime plus 1.5 or 7?
What's their interest rate?
The interest rate was 7 and change, wasn't it? 7.49, something like that,
Prime
7.99.
Prime plus 2.
Yeah, prime plus 2 or so. Yeah. We can certainly, yeah, we'll have to just double check and we'll get you the exact number if you like on that. So it was reasonable.
No, but we don't owe any, we're not using it.
Nope, not a dollar.
Irrelevant.
So
At the same time, we spent $380,000 on the facility.
Right.
We also swallowed a $40,000 loan.
Yeah.
Paid off.
Yeah.
We owed $40,000 on the last loan.
so it's
And we paid that off by borrowing from the Luger Fund.
Yeah.
And
repaying of the
And
cash.
we had to pay ourselves back. So there's $40,000 in here too. We're really talking about a swing of 420 grand
So it's just
in one sense.
But the track currently has no debt.
That's right.
Correct.
That's right.
No.
Yep. And has a credit facility that it didn't have before in case there's an emergency. Right. So we're trying to be smart about it at the end of the day. Right. So.
I'm just wondering, Ming, or who here would have been on the latest race committee call, and was this possibility mentioned? And if it is a 10% reduction of the discount, which would mean about $300, I guess, more for the facility on the weekend.
The race committee can't handle it. It's not calculated. And I was in on that call, and I said I'd be shocked if this increase went through.
Yeah.
So the race committee is going to make me eat my words.
We're quite concerned because
I
of the timing.
can't believe we're going to do this.
We're quite concerned because of the timing.
Yeah.
You know,
Personal
so-
opinion.
Ming, go ahead. Dwight? Okay. There's a question, Dwight, online as well?
Yeah, I I'm gonna be straight up blunt. As FMC being a member club, there's very few of us actually go and attend events at AMP. I go myself occasionally, and it's been a couple of years, Mike, apologies, but I go to the High Performance Driving Club. Within our membership, Dave Charters is one of the only ones who goes there. Tim Clowater used to, Chris Wilcox used to, but those guys haven't been a member of our club. He still is honorary for kind of forever. What is the expectation financially from FMC back into AMP? Because like I was like, we don't have a lot of money in the bank / any. We have our own expenditures. I try to run our club as close to a $0 as I can, or $0 profit. And like, I'm just wondering, is the expectation as an owner club that we would contribute some amount of dollars per year? Like, I'm just taking some notes here. Like, I haven't had my AGM for my club. I'll probably do it at our first event. But is the expectation that I go to my membership and say, look, AMP, which very few of us go to, needs some help? Is it reasonable for me to expect, or is it reasonable for AMP to expect us to contribute financially? I guess I'm beating around the bush, but
No, for sure, Dwight. So that's a great question. I mean, you know, and I think that's something that we've kind of struggled back and forth a little bit. So the question, just so to kind of clarify that, is if you are an owner club, a member club of AMP, is there a minimum financial expectation for those clubs, even if you don't use the track? That's basically, is that about right, Dwight? I got that pretty close.
just like you said, I would love to be able to help, but financially the club can't. Personally, I do if I go to the events, but I haven't been there in a few years. And I'm just wondering, like, I'll say it this way: I feel like our club is not pulling its weight if there's an expectation that we have some weight to pull.
So
Just actually, that is when you bring that up, that is one of the suggestions that I have made to the board, that the member clubs actually start making a yearly contribution to AMP as part of their ownership package. But in order to do that, we have to change our bylaws, because the bylaws the way they're currently written, say that once you have bought your ownership or your membership as an owner of the club, you no longer have to pay anything. And so essentially, once you are an owner of the club, you're an owner of the club forever and a day, I guess, with no financial responsibility other than if the racetrack needs funds, then all the owners will be asked to supply it, and those that can will, I guess, and those that can't.
Do you want to bring up the bond owners? Why would you want to be an owner of a facility you don't use?
So I think this is a deeper conversation, right? It is that's the real answer to that, Dwight. So I don't think it's something that I think we could spend a lot of time on that tonight. But it's not something we're going to solve today. So it is something we probably should review. And I appreciate you raising the point. You know, so I think today what maybe we should stick to is what you know, Chad. Oh, sorry, we've got another question. Okay.
Is that for you say to me for a question? I just have one little comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
So my only comment was, I always thought it was kind of weird that we had clubs that own AMP, but the only money they put towards AMP was from rentals. So I didn't know if anybody ever thought about doing a percentage of profit at end of year for each club that owns AMP, goes back to AMP. So that way, if you had a club that didn't make a lot of money, it wouldn't financially ruin them. But if you had a club that made a lot of money, it would be an automatic like return.
So
But I don't know if that's crazy, out to lunch, or just
That doesn't
sort of an idea.
No, I just wanted to say, I think the short answer to the question is there is no requirement.
that's right. That's
the
right.
answer.
So,
Right.
yeah,
And,
So-
I mean,
As it
there's all
states
kinds-
today, you're right.
There's all kinds of different ways,
Yeah.
ideas we
Yeah.
can come up with, but the answer is no. That's the
That's
way
right.
it's set up.
so,
And
and
regardless of what you want to do, is to change the bylaws?
It is.
Can I just ask, what is the process for changing the bylaws?
we'd have to propose the bylaw change, and we'd have to have a vote with all of the member clubs, and we'd have to have a majority to do that. I believe.
2/3 majority,
Two-thirds
and it would
majority.
have to be, it's either 21 or 30-day advance. You're not doing it in a hurry.
And that's what I mean. That's not a short-term fix, but I
No.
think it's something we should maybe
should be-
start the process on.
Put it in our purview. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Because
Barb.
I think we should review that whole idea of who are the owner clubs and what are our responsibilities.
Mhm.
Who are the users?
Yeah, who are the users and
Depending on
Well,
who
you-
should-
You're in for some good reading, because there's member clubs and there's sustaining members, and there's the language that's used in the AMP bylaws.
from 1974.
Well,
Time for.
no. You can say that, but to do it properly is a long, serious process.
'Cause Arms just went through a big bylaw.
And
Yeah, we should start it.
we just spent 2 years doing the arms bylaws, and we're only about 2/3 of the way through. And the AMP bylaws are in a lot worse condition than what the arms bylaws were.
So we should.
And
start the
probably
process.
written
Yes.
by the same people at the start.
Yes,
So I don't know who was next, if it was Dwight next or Debbie next, but
Go ahead, Debbie.
okay.
Just a little bit of a history about that. I mean, FMC and NBSCC were one of the organizing clubs for car races years ago.
Yes.
It's been evolved into arms for financial purposes, the overall organizing club for races at AMP.
Yeah.
But in years past, all of the clubs took turns organizing races at AMP. So there
Yes.
was more of a vested interest in the facility for sure. And obviously, there's hope that an FMC and the SEC member will start racing, start bringing people down, that grassroots growth there. But there was an original historical intent for the individual owners to be part of the.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, so
Well, they were there at the founding.
And that kind of answers
They're
my
founding members. I don't know how you're gonna make them go away.
I don't think, yeah, I think it's a big discussion.
The place has always been a user supported. And I mean, you get the strength from where you get the strength. It's hard to say that it should be spread out evenly amongst all of the.
There's some ebb and flow to it for sure too,
But
right?
the energy comes from many different places.
Hmm.
And it's,
So it's the cooperation and working together that makes it work at the end of the day, right? So,
This is a business model of stuff.
and I-
and you wouldn't want to buy it, I don't think.
I mean, you can't legislate participation either. It
No.
comes the way it comes.
And-
Dwight, you had something as well.
Yeah, well, Debbie actually kind of answered my question. When it said FMC was one of the founding members, I've only been with the club since 2006, and one of my first events was actually helping run a race weekend at AMP. But the organizing members of FMC right now are primarily myself and one other, and we have a hard enough time trying to run a regional, which we don't do anymore, for auto slalom. And for us to try to run a track day, a race weekend at AMP is not going to happen. So I kind of go back to the fact that, again, we're not pulling our weight. But what my question was is, how did FMC become involved? Because it was before my time. So right now it's myself and Jamie that run FMC, and we are part of a legacy we don't know enough about.
Okay. Yep. We can.
I know a historian you should talk to.
Yeah.
yeah.
But thank you for the questions today, Dwight, and your interest in that as well. So I think, what I'm gleaning from this is we need to have a larger discussion, right, about this going forward, right? So, and that seems pretty loud and clear to me, right? So we will, okay? So I think we probably should go back to our motion that was put on the floor, okay? So that was put on the floor by SARL and it was seconded by BAC, okay? So the motion is to decrease the discount for member clubs renting the facility by 10%. Is that correct?
All the discounts.
All discounts.
All discounts, I'm sorry, by 10%. Okay,
So, question,
yes.
what's the, somebody do the math, what does that?
Nobody's done the math.
The-
Yeah, it's
the-
300,
pretty much
And it's based on half the bookings.
Yeah, the quick math from the budget for this year is $6,000.
for the, let's say the member club users.
Yeah.
What's the percentage?
So the track rental for next year is $59,000. That is in the budget
No, no, what,
I'm
for
sorry.
the users, what is?
per user. Is that
what
what you
is the
mean?
percent
So
increase?
if for the 2,800, which is a 1 day on the weekend,
No, for the, what is the percent increase?
It's the percent, so it's a percentage decrease in the
No,
discount.
but what's the increase? What is the increase?
it's 11%.
Nobody's run the numbers. Nobody's extrapolated what this does.
Yeah.
And we're not even comparing it to what our projected
What is
sales
it
are.
as a percent?
Oh, wait.
Okay.
Oh, my God.
As a percentage, if you do a 10% decrease in the discount, then you're should get a net increase of about. Okay,
How much are you changing the rates for member club?
we're decreasing the discount by 10%. So,
Just to clarify, not the value, the percentage.
Yes.
Just to clarify, it's 55% now, you're decreasing it to 45%.
yes, that's correct. Yep, and if it was 45 to 35, so on and so forth. Yeah. So on a Saturday or on a,
I wanna rent $1 worth of the track.
yep,
It costs me.
it used
It's
to
not
cost,
worth our time to open the gate. We don't rent.
it used to cost you 45 cents and now it's gonna cost you 55 cents. Right? If it's at $1, it used to cost you 45 cents because you had a 55% discount.
What's that change?
So 45 cents versus 55 cents.
Somebody do the math.
22%,
The math has been
Increase.
done.
22%.
Yeah.
That's the increase on a weekend.
So
Yeah.
we're talking about 22% rate increase.
By decreasing the discount.
Can we afford that?
It's $280, amounts to per day on a weekend.
On a weekend day.
So if one participant.
560 for a weekend, right? If it's 280, right? So 560 for a weekend. So yeah, so one more, an SARL, it would be one more entrant for the weekend. Or an entrant in the fifth,
Per event, per event.
per event.
Yeah, so if
Yeah.
you have a 5 event,
Yep.
and 2 days each and.
Yeah.
9, so.
Sure. $2,500, $3,000 in that range, yeah, for the year.
I'm not talking about the Boy Scouts here. This is an expensive sport.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that gonna fly with the customers?
Well, I guess we can
Well, you
put
guys
it
are
to,
the
you're the
customers,
customer,
you're the
so
owners.
we can put it to a vote and see, yeah.
Car racers, bike racers, are they gonna pay 22?
We've already raised our rates
We've raised ours, yeah.
at our AGM. Everyone agreed to raise the rates.
Okay.
But what it
Good question.
boil down to is we're gonna have to get the money somewhere.
I know, but
And
this place is always, like, for years and years and years, it's been running on about $70,000 worth of revenue. Been like that forever.
it won't run on that today.
One year we got 84.
But the
More would be
the
better,
cost of
but-
everything is gone up.
And then
so.
COVID came and
Yeah, it's,
slightly.
yeah, it's it's 100% more expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, I don't really think that we're recommending the world here. Like, if I think we're sitting here saying, listen, guys, we gotta cut all your discounts, that's the end of that. I can understand that we'd be pretty upset about something like that.
Well, 10% sounds better than 22.
Well, it does, sure it does.
10%.
Been in sales for a long time, right? So. Yeah, so but in the net effect to it is, raising the rate is you alluded to earlier, is you're basically getting half of it, right? So if you decrease the discount, then it's more realistic in terms of what's actually happening there. Okay. More questions, or shall we put this to a vote? Okay, so the vote is, the question is, will we decrease the discount to the member clubs that are renting the track by 10%?
Everybody.
No.
No.
Sorry, I'm sorry, by everyone, sorry.
Every
Discount
discount
that
is
every,
reduced by 10%.
I mean, 10 points.
okay. I'm gonna say it again.
Yes.
But 10
Every-
So
10 points.
to the people that don't get discounts, get charged an extra 10.
No.
The 3 days that year?
Because if you're not putting list price up, I don't
We don't have anybody who's paying.
Who's paying
Right,
for
who's
it?
paying?
You got
You could
put
you
it up
got
100%.
You
Nobody's gonna
forgot, you
pay
got
for it.
PCA. What's PCA pay?
Okay.
Well, they'll disappear if it goes up too high altogether.
They're gonna disappear. I'll
We
tell
got
you right now.
$5,300 of them last year, which was pretty good.
Okay.
So
So-
we're reducing by 10 basis
We're,
points.
yes, we are.
Reducing the discount by 10 basis points across the board.
That's right. Exactly. For everyone.
You'll lose a bit.
Okay? Okay, so all for that. Two. So SARL,
Yes.
yes,
Afra.
AFRA, okay? So I'm gonna count this.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes for SARL.
AFRA.
BAC,
Yes.
yes. ASCC, okay?
That'll be all right. Another $300.
Yeah.
It's only 300. Lee and Joel just need to sell one more promotion. Done, covered.
Yeah, the promotion thing's going well.
Do you want us to leave it with it for a second, Debbie? And okay, okay. AFRA,
Yes. Yes.
okay. MMSC?
No.
No. NBSCC?
Yes.
MRTS? Oh, non-voting, that's sorry. FMC?
Yes.
ARCA?
Arcus is non-voting.
Non-voting, sorry, non-V.
Member, as per the bylaws.
You are?
Yeah, they are.
Okay,
We're not a voting member of
okay, so we have a vote here then.
Yeah.
So
and for it.
for it, yes. Okay, and then back to ASCC. Yes.
Did you get us, Harold?
What's that? I got SKRL. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have 6 for and 1 against, right? Yeah, so yeah. So 6 for and 1 against. So the motion is carried. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and thank you for the debate. You know, it's never fun to spend more money, I know, but thank you very much for understanding.
Eric, the other part of it is you should stipulate what the activation date is of that, or is that today?
So that
January 1st, 2024.
from yeah. So from today forward, like
What?
That should probably go into the notes, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I assumed, but
okay. Okay. So that was
The signed contracts with somebody that pays list price, and list price was not touched.
this year, was touched last year. Okay, so with that, we'll move on to property management, and I'll hand the floor to Mike.
Can
Why? I don't want the floor.
We can have the ceiling of the wall, the whole room.
we talk about,
Maybe a piece of pavement, but not floor.
should we talk about, future, increases? starting in 2020?
I think that was rough enough, Dave. I think let's just let that wound close a little.
My God, you're.
I'm sorry,
We
but
voted in favor
dollars
of
and
four
cents.
this year.
I think,
Hmm?
yeah.
The best we've ever done.
So I think that we'll, let's see what that does.
Okay, well,
Our
we'll just be in the
finances, okay.
same position next year.
Okay.
But no, all I'm suggesting was that we look at doing starting in 2025, do a 10% increase on fees, list fees, list price. And that's list price for everything. That includes sign rentals and radio rentals and the whole works, not just track rentals, but a 10% increase on everything across the board. And then that way, we were kind of stuck this year because we didn't agree to do it in 2024 last year. So that way we couldn't do it. And so now we can't, I'm just suggesting we look at doing that in the future, whether it's perpetually year after year or just for the next 3 or 4 years to kind of give us a little bit of a cushion.
So moving the AGM closer.
Yes,
And
that should help, I would think a bit, Debbie.
and a lot easier for everybody.
yeah,
So let's plant the seed here, Dave, and just say that, you know, that going forward, we probably need to discuss this
we'll
sort of
discuss
stuff
that
early
at
in the
the
year.
AGM in January. How's that?
Yeah.
Put it down January 8th.
Which would be a
Ming.
reasonable discussion if we actually have it in January.
Sort of tossing it out at the AGM. You could maybe if you have a proposal for an increase, maybe throw that out
before.
in numbers like a month or two before.
Sure,
Based on 2024.
sure. And I think we'll have a much clearer picture in terms of what everybody's voted on today and what that looks like at that point in time.
Mhm.
So we'll talk.
That's
I
I think that's,
that we're gonna have a discussion about costing again.
Yep.
At the AGM for 2024.
and we'll be a little bit better prepared as well. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you, everyone,
but plan on a 2025 increase.
so,
Keep that in the back of your mind.
all right, so let's move on to property management. Mike, 2023 improvements. Can you take us through the scope of the work we've created, we've done here this late year, so we can kind of talk to what, all the new fun stuff that comes on the other side of that cash we spent.
Well, 23 improvements started with, 3 emergency patches in, turn 2A and B and, backside of the roller coaster.
Yeah, turn 5.
And that got us into the season pretty good. There was, various and varied, improvements to, some stands and some of the, mostly the buildings, were holding their own. The big thing was everything was held off till the fall. We tried to get the, I prefer to call it the Luger project because it was, very much, propelled by Derek's gift. But anyway, that was, got off to a late start. The contractor, didn't show up or was unable to show up, was overbooked. Mother Nature and the coffers of the, province of Nova Scotia caused our main contractor to, put us off for a few weeks. So anyway, the good thing about that is we were able to, pull in a few more rental dollars while we, kept the track operational past, I think September 17th was originally the proposed date to shut down. They worked, if you look on Google Earth, you can see the preparation for the track, and it's kind of an interesting picture if you can look at it close enough. But in late October, that's when that photograph was taken. Anyway, the preparation was to get rid of the bump. The decisions were made, and I think pretty much everybody here is aware of it anyway, without beating it too much detail. The bump in the end of the front straight was something we went after. The problems over the tunnel were ignored, and we straightened them out with pavement. And exit of 1 was known to be becoming an issue, so that was addressed. Redid the patches in the entry and exit of turn 2. Then we went at the roller coaster. We picked up the line just ahead of the apex, and from the crest of 5 to the entry of 6 is all new roadbed. It was excavated, and a proper roadbed was built there. And then there was 4 inches of pavement put on top of it. Previously, it had 1 inch of asphalt, so I can't give old Jack any more credit than we already have. How in the hell?
1 inch of pavement.
There was 1 inch of pavement there. And that was some of the oldest asphalt on the property too. But anyway, then we did 6 major patches on the back straight, which was risky as hell, but that's what we decided to do. And all the cracks that are giving all the big bikes and the big cars trouble, we went after them. And the chances that we're going to have $300,000-$400,000 to rebuild that back straight in the next decade are probably pretty slim. So we decided to, spend some of Derek's money that way. And those are the areas, I think that covers all the areas that we repaired.
Entrance to 72.
Well, the entrance to 7, the end of, that's one of the 6 areas I'm describing on the back straight. From what we can see, it was without having put in any race traffic on it, and there's always equipment in the way, but as far as I can tell, it all worked out pretty damn nice. And I think that the new safety devices we're installing in turn 2, I'm afraid they're gonna get used because turn 1's gonna be stupid. And take it from there. Back straight is in AMP terms, it's super smooth.
Yeah.
And it's I think we got a really good result. I don't think I'm overly optimistic. I think it's gonna work out well. The contractor finished yesterday, so we're shortly tomorrow or Monday morning, we'll be short $66,000 because we're gonna I want to get rid of that holdback as fast as possible. They weren't very excited about the amount of the holdback that we held on them, and it was done, and it was a little excessive, but in the world of
Motivational, wasn't it, Mike?
in the world of construction, it probably wasn't that notable, but the whole idea was that we had to make sure they came back in the spring. The track actually got paved on, and half it was done the evening of November 13th. And then Mother Nature screwed everything up, and we never got the track edge reinstatement done. And part of the hidden bonus that nobody is even thinking about is that we milled as much asphalt as we could, and and then we saved it. It wasn't lost on the contractors. They thought they might be able to cart it away, but they didn't get out of the gate with it. And yesterday, a lot of it was spread in the paddock and on the access roads. And there's still inventory, and we're going to be able to use that very effectively around and start. Dust control will be the biggest single benefit, and it should be a lot harder to make potholes. Because I, for one, am tired of grading that front road, that front entry. What else on that project? That pretty much covers it. The tied into the Luger project was we expected to get to finally tackle the decrepit barriers and junk that was down there in your way when you were trying to get to turn 5. It wasn't as safe. It was completely unsafe, completely useless. It was just a pile of junk. So that was all demoed before the end of the year. So some of the money that we spent in last year's financial reporting, a little bit of it was we actually did tear turn 2 apart. It was only a week and a half ago that the contractor and we tried all winter long. We tried starting in November to get the guardrail installed. It didn't happen until 10 days or 14 days ago. So it's been a very tiresome winter for some of us to every week we've been trying to pull it off, and it didn't happen. But it did finally get in there. And there's actually work going on tomorrow to try and there's a lot of work to finish turn 2. And it comes up in other items here on the agenda, but that's turn 2 was bundled into the roughly $400,000 project that we undertook. And if everything goes perfectly in the next week, we should be able to open our first rentals May 7th. So we should be able to pull it off, I think. I'm very hopeful. I don't know how else to describe it. All those areas that I described, there was significant milling done, and the millings were collected and saved, and they are to be reused. And then there was good quality asphalt repairs made. The transitions are, there's when you start and stop, must be 12 or 14 times out there, or more, even more than that, probably actually counted it. To get them all right is, or to get them all as close as they are right now is, I think, exceptional work. And we get a lot of people that armchair quarterback and think we should be dealing with paving contractor X or paving contractor Y, and Basin does superb work for us, and they're not getting rich doing it. And I take my hat off to them.
They're also responsive when there's a problem, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
Right. If we have a problem, they do something wrong, then they own up to it and they come back and fix it.
And when the Dexters of the world crush them, I don't want to have anything to do with trying to look after AMP, because we can't afford that. I'm just here to tell you that. So anyway, I think we got a good result, and it was a major effort and a little bit of a stretch to get all the finances, but and I think the executive's been watching it like a hawk, and I think we've done well on your behalf.
Well, and we owe Mike a lot of thanks in this one. Mike really managed this project. I mean, and did a good job with, input from us, and he executed it and did a really good job, and made sure that the contractor did what they said they were going to do, and made sure that they got it done on time, which is, I haven't been involved in doing this kind of project before. And it was incredible to see the delays that you run into trying to do this with the weather in Nova Scotia, and with the contractors and how busy they are. And Mike really shoved it forward. So thank you very much, Mike, for quarterbacking this. And I think you'll be very pleased when you see this result.
I hope so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Largest project to date.
Yeah. Largest project to date. That's right.
Quarter built the track.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, then when they built the track, they didn't spend that much money.
Largest project to date.
So we want to just talk a little bit about what we're planning to get done here, Mike, before we open still.
Or they spent the money, but they didn't pay it back. That's what they did.
There's no record of that.
Yeah, oh, well, Dave Charters has got an interesting story about to get published.
Oh,
I'm sorry, what was the question?
We were just talking about a few things we need to get finished up before we get open here. I guess maybe you covered some of those anyway, but is there anything else?
Well, the biggest thing they would get finished, and as I say, Basin reported to me that they finished and swept the track, and basically whoever goes out there now is responsible for the mess they make, and they better clean it up, because it's not going to be put back on the contractor. So that means the next contractor we get in there right now is he got a gun to his head. But what's left over is finishing turn 2. And it starts with, we set the grade of the bottom rail at the elevation of the edge of the track. So we've got to grade the gravel trap, and we got to fine fill, and we got to get that area turned into a flat landing zone for whoever does decide to go out there. You don't want to be going downhill, and we don't want folks on leathers to sneak under the guardrail and all that kind of sort of thing. So that's all going to be addressed, and the grade's got to be set. And then there's 110 tons of pea stone there on site right now that is going, it's a nice sounding number until you.
That much stone waste.
Thank you very much.
But it's going, we're going to start with a 12-inch deep gravel trap. Most of our gravel traps are 12 inches. And we believe that you look at the performance of the trap in 9, that's the one that really is probably, in my mind, the closest example of what the kind of performance we need in turn 2 for the folks that are going tangentially going straight off. And turn 9 is a 12-inch deep trap, and it works like a charm. In my experience, my observations. So that's what we're gonna do, and it's gonna be mainly to catch the, straight off to, 45-degree around the corner traffic. And it's gonna be done as such, and we're gonna run out of money. So that's the starting point. We don't have enough money to do gravel trap all the way. And it's gonna be done in such a way that the, more money, more gravel next time around. We can always add on to it. The next big thing is that, we need, tire barriers. The, Moosehead Grand Prix generation of tire barriers is all we have to work with. So some of them are gonna have to be brought back out of the compound and utilized. And in my mind, it's temporary because it's all we got.
Excuse me, there's a whole bunch of stuff that took out from car park when it closed. Tires that are in that compound now.
Yeah, I see stuff back there, but the
Big truck, but
the problem with tire barriers is, you know, almost as well as I do,
I know more than I wanna know.
but no, every time we start talking about tire barriers, nobody wants to put them together the way they have to be put together. So then the discussion ends. But so tire barriers are an issue. We've got to find some. At some point in time, we'll find a crazy volunteer that will take that project on, I'm sure. Then the softball, we were trying, the executive had talked through the winter that if we should make turn two the introductory point at AMP for a proper version of soft barrier, because there's a huge problem with the bottle bags and that they contain nothing but plastic, and one of us, most likely a car, is going to set one of them on fire eventually. And that was always Roger Pert's criticism.
The last 10 or 15 years or whatever, right?
That was always Roger Pert's criticism of them, and he didn't think we should ever be using them. But the issue is when they catch on fire, not if they're going to catch on fire. So the executive was considering what it would cost to put softwall down there that would do the job and be safer all the way around, and not have to be removed, not have to be moved around, not cause all kinds of problems. And the tire bags, or not tire bags, but the bottle bags or marshmallows or whatever we're going to call them, are in incredibly bad condition this spring. And anybody that's got time to go out, and I guess the upcoming work parties are going to see, but the bottle bags are in incredibly bad condition. And it's Andy knows it's UV failure of the plastics, the materials that are all that. And then the worst part of it, it exposes that the bottle bags aren't bottle bags at all. They're miscellaneous, legitimate plastic garbage, and yogurt containers, ice cream containers. The bears were eating out of them 10 years after they were put in there. And I can never figure out how they could do that. But anyway, that's we've got the Armco's in place. The grading's going to be done. The gravel trap's going in. We're going to get some tires in front of it. There's got to be something done for soft wall protection in the impact zones for the especially for the motorcycle use. And I think that's it. But and we're doing all that on a budget of next to nothing, because the dollars that Dave was talking about just covers the guardrail. Oh yeah, turn 7. Both sides of turn 7, the gravel traps over there are.
Yeah.
They're in parts of the planet that aren't level, and they become drainage courses. And the 7 outside one is no, but that's garbage, junk, cheap, old drainage system. That's a failure in the pipe over there, and it happened to the failure in the pipe happens to come where the gravel trap was placed, and the water's pretty smart. And it jumps into the ditch. It thinks the gravel trap's a ditch. And so it's caused considerable erosion. So we got to get that filled, and then we hopefully got enough pea stone that we can top it off, and it will effectively be. But the next time there's a monsoon,
Maybe clean up again.
well, they'll have to be cleaned up, or we've got a lot of work to do to figure out and regrading how to make that problem go away. The same thing that we made the swale / ditch on riders right, drivers right in the entry to 8 or the exit of 7B. We made that into a gravel trap, and that's been quite effective in 2 or 3 incidents I've seen, weird spins that have gone off there. But it's also subject to when we have the torrential downpours, which we had 2 or 3 times last year. We had enough of a downpour. It took the pea stone down around the corner and took it down and then laid it out on the track, or a good bunch of it. So we've got to find a magic way to keep the pea stone in the trap and let the water go through it somehow. But that's, for startup, the goal is to get those traps topped up and leveled, and so that they're effectively still a safety device. And the drainage problem is, well, Graham has done a proper study of the drainage issues around the entire property. And it's not just one ditch here or one pipe there. It's a project that the facility is going to have to undertake in a smart, logical manner. It's not just go whack a pipe in and like stick your finger in the dike kind of solutions.
That includes the back 40, where we used to do rallycross.
Yeah, the back
Yeah,
40 is part of the
part of it,
property, and the project is looking at the entire property.
It's not the fun infrastructure. It's not the nice black stuff, but it protects the infrastructure to do it properly. So, so we're trying to kind of get these steps taken, and there's a lot of effort that's going in to make sure that as we spend money, we're spending money to maintain the infrastructure we've got and improve for the future, right? So, a lot of thoughts going into this, with lots of people like Mike and Graham and stuff that, with experience, right, that we can hopefully move this forward.
There's one thing I wanted to mention, and a lot of our problems property-wise with the bottle bags is UV caused. The bears aren't dragging them around as much as they ever used to. But there's the interesting one to me. There's one of the it's got to be one of the brand new bags, because there's not. It's between 3 and 4. There's it looks like snow when you first get up there, and what it is the bottom of the base of the berm is lined with nothing but brand new windshield washer containers. So that to me means that one of the new bags has gotten away or gotten opened, or so we got to make sure when we're assembling those things that they're sealed somehow better. Or maybe there's just a freak case of one of them got away, but it was the one that was, I've been out there several times, and then all of a sudden it struck me that that's a new bag. That had to be a new bag.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate that. So that hopefully that gives everybody a bit of an overview in terms of what we've done and where we're headed before the spring.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any questions.
Any questions from the floor about what we've done or what we need to do to get moving here?
I guess we just didn't have, we have a sort of an idea of what we need to do for turn 2, but
Yeah.
as far as soft walls go, but what are we going to use until?
Likely a new and properly prepared bottle bag, I would say. Bottle bags.
That would be temporary. Even if
Yeah.
it's temporary, we have to put
Yeah,
something.
well, no, we recognize that too, Phil, that it's got to be safe for everybody. So we're going to do whatever the safest thing is to do.
Aren't ideal, but until we figure that out.
Yeah.
We're going to have to.
No, and what I was trying to say, Phil, is that if we can't find a vendor for like safer barrier right now. Our understanding is it costs about $500 a foot.
Yeah.
Where we were coming from was, what if we found $5,000 and we make that make turn two the place to start. Because in all honesty, properly run, the bottle bags are effective and a pretty good thing when you go in there in your leathers.
Yeah.
And they're a real bad thing when some of us go in there with our cars. And we got to figure out, and SRL doesn't, and AMP has no, AMP has no employees, and SARL doesn't have enough volunteers to move bags back and forth. You know, and we don't want, and so, between events and all this sort of thing.
I guess the only benefit of them is, yeah, cars aren't happy, but they won't kill you.
The fire,
A rider hitting something really hard.
Yeah, no, we recognize that the need for that, Phil. I mean, like, you know, I'm out there with you, right? You know,
hopefully we can find something that's more suitable to everybody.
yeah. Yeah, and that's the goal. And we're always trying to make sure, we're always thinking about both factions,
Yeah.
right? You know, and we recognize there's different needs on both sides of this. You know, sometimes we don't have a
You
perfect
haven't learned
solution.
yet. Don't use the word faction.
To discipline. How about disciplines? How about discipline? Fraternities, okay.
Fraternities.
Pardon my language use there. Grant.
I just wanted to make one comment to add to that, about down at turn two, when and to some extent about the bottle bags, just that they're, when you looked at turn two and you see the bottle bags and everything that's there, it looks like a barrier. If you were there the day that we took that out.
Yeah.
Like the guardrail, there was pretty much nothing left of it.
It was broken.
It was a metal bar. And part of the problem is it's covered up. It's not accessible. You couldn't even see that it wasn't any good. And if that's sort of the primary barrier structure and then the rest of it is cushion and stuff on it, it's, you know, one of the downsides of the bottle bags is it covers everything up.
Well, the tires were still there.
And there was tires there too, and the tires were a mess too.
Yeah.
And the whole thing, it was well overdue to get that changed out and improved, but it was really surprising what little was there. And in spite of the fact that it looks like a barrier.
Yeah.
So, I think it's something to keep in mind that elsewhere on the property, it might look like everything's good, but it's been, you know, as it sits there for year over year over year, it's deteriorating.
Well, you know how they talk about perception. We all had the perception that that was a wall. And so we stayed away from turn five, but it was only a perception. It was just, there was nothing there. It was nothing but junk.
Barriers, like Lucas mentioned, that he is in the process of building some barriers for car farm. Don't know what they're gonna be, right, whether it be really rigid or not, but he'll
Let us know.
what the scoop is, right?
Yeah, let us know. We're, you know, certainly open to suggestions and that stuff. Okay. Okay, so with that, we okay to move ahead to signage and billboards and advertising, all that kind of good stuff? Oh, okay.
I think about turn two.
Yep.
It's in there somewhere, master standard two.
Yes.
I think it should be, as you go in, should be on races right.
Racers right. Okay.
Otherwise, if it's towards the exit,
Yeah, that's on FD is the turn two stand placement and reconstruction.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wait then.
We're coming to it. So we're looking at, of course, at all the sources of revenue for AMP and, you know, and trying to gather as much, you know, outside money as we can. So we're looking at potentially raising the pricing for signage, billboards, advertising over the next little bit. So we were thinking that for this year, we'd like to raise that 10% as well. You know, so people that are buying signage and stuff at the racetrack would just pay a little bit more for that signage. And we think that that's probably achievable, you know, with our current signage sales and you know, and hopefully bring a little bit more money as well for next year. Do we need to vote on advertising revenue and signage and that sort of thing? Do we need to?
Oh, yeah, you're not changing the rate without a vote.
Okay, so let's do it. Can I have a motion to raise the signage, billboard and advertising sales rates by 10% starting this season? SARL for a motion and a second.
FMC.
FMC, okay, beautiful. So at that point, so the motion on the floor is to raise the advertising rates for the signage, billboards, and advertising sales at AMP by 10% starting this year. Is there a question?
What is the current signage and bill?
It varies depending on the signage and the billboard all over the property and the size of that sign, et cetera. But if
It's
that
based,
person,
it's based on, $500 a year plus HST for in 4x8 increments.
Yep.
Based on billboard, it's based on 4x8, 32 square feet.
Okay.
It's $500 a year plus HST.
we want to,
And the advertiser pays all costs,
yeah, signage still.
the install and all that sort of thing. Front gate, if you want to put your sign on the front gate, $17.50 a year. Top tier of the tower, Porsche is paying, or Pro is paying 2,000, Porsche is paying 1,000 for the second tier. If you want to go down on the first level of the tower, we had it set at $750. Banners are $15 a square foot, depending on where you hang them, and you take them down at the end of your day, your event, your rental. Track naming is, was another one that was, set at $12.5 a year with a minimum 2-year deal. And we provide, front straight billboard structure. The 3 electrical buildings, there were areas that we would consider allowing a sign to be put on. Comfort station, inside and out, Marshall's building deck, old registration building at the gatehouse, Guthrie building interior, Hilchi building, and Starters Bridge is currently not available. And that's the appendix. It's part of the a short little 2-page contract that we've had. And people have been using for about 3 seasons now.
Okay,
Sorry, Mike, for a billboard on the front street is how much?
It's based on $500 a year for 32 square feet.
so 4x8 billboard.
There must be a 10% increase based on.
Yeah, so 5 would be 550 plus HST, plus the cost of the sign, of course.
They suffer anyway.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, that's not our problem.
Yep.
And install it, and it has to be to our specifications.
Usually space.
Yeah, again, it's just that all the sponsorship has been sold. I'm looking at, the sponsorship that the Arms Race Committee has done so much hard work on it and everything, and it will finalize by now, I understand.
Sure it is.
Okay.
I don't think there's much we can do about stuff that's already done.
Well, if the price goes up, some prices are going up and some aren't.
So with the motion on the floor, sorry,
Discount for getting your.
another question?
That's not how you do business.
Wanted to make sure, because I do buy signage at the track, that I'm not in a conflict of interest with voting here now. Plus, it's also our club's way of getting a little bit of money towards tracks through the arms thing on the front signage.
Okay. So I guess that's a good question. Do you think, Stacey, that you should step out of the voting on this one for that reason?
Well, I don't, because I'm going to vote yes. So therefore, I don't think that's a conflict because it'll go up, but I just want to be sure of that.
I think that'll make you a noble vote there.
There.
So, okay. So we have a motion on the floor to increase all the signage on the property and the cost of advertising that signage by 10% this year. And
Let me get my notes going here. You're getting ahead of me.
From this date forward?
Yeah,
Okay. Starting today. So if we have a signed contract, then prior to now, then we'll honor that. And then anything signed from here on in will be at a 10% increase. Okay? Okay, so all for that. Okay, so we have VAC. We have MMSC. We have SARL. We have ARCA. We have AFRA. NBSCC. FMC. Is that everyone? NBSCC? Okay, NBSCC as well?
I missed somebody.
Everybody. So that's a unanimous yes on that one. Okay. So the motion is carried on that.
Who moved it and who seconded it?
It was moved by SARL and it was seconded by BAC. Okay. So, comfort station and water and the water supply. So basically we're opening the comfort station, this weekend, this next week, actually. It'll be out. So it'll be open for the 1st of May, basically, ready to rock and roll for the year. So inside the comfort station, we also have an electrical upgrade that's going to take place of a panel that's been, causing trouble for a long time. So that's going to be taken care of here over the next couple of weeks as well. We've got a panel that's deteriorated that will be, that SARL has donated the funds for.
To do with the water, when we lose power at the track, Photo or F Street or wherever.
Yeah.
That's why we purchased a generator. Or is the power the
Yep.
it's on its last legs, it still work.
Okay.
What we could do is if the new panel can be powered by a generator,
Okay.
then it will still pump out of the well.
Okay. Well, we could probably talk to the electrician about that and see if that's a possibility.
So power the lights in the comfort station plus power.
Okay.
So there'd be lights and water.
So we can have a chat with the electrician about that. So that's a good point. Right.
Then we can still fill up that tank. It's like 2,000. And if the well ran dry, supposed to put the water back in the well.
What if we pump it dry? Do it. Okay.
So far, the well hasn't run dry.
It's been pretty good. Yeah.
That the backup tank is for when the power went out, so we didn't have a way of pumping the well.
Yes.
And the generator was to power the jet pump.
To pump that cistern out, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes good sense. So a submersible in the well and a jet pump for that tank.
Generator. If the generator can power the panel.
Then we basically don't need the cistern in our well.
It'd be nice to have it, but
We can run it in the case of power outage unless there's a
you could
water
run a
problem.
comfort station
Okay.
with lights. So see what they would do.
Yep. Absolutely. And have hot water too. Have a shower.
No,
Can't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So we have a question online here as well.
Yeah, I just was asking, what kind of panel is it?
I don't know what the panel is. I don't have the specification here on that. It's
Is
an
it-
electrical panel.
There's a Siemens panel. I got a bunch of breakers at home I'd give, but probably cost me more to ship them there than what they're worth.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is, but I know we have a Red Seal electrician that's supplying the panel, installing it. So, and it's I believe it's a good use panel as well. So, it'll be the code done properly. Thank you. We'll call you next time. Okay. So required volunteer work for spring. So this is just, we've covered some of this stuff already, but I think that there are a couple of work parties that are going on. So just wanted to just kind of touch on the few items that we'll need a little bit of help with, to get open here this spring. So the first one is the gravel trap weeding. So talked to SARL a little bit about this. I don't think I'm going to say anything that's too surprising here. The gravel traps have kind of grown over a little bit, and of course, to keep them effective, we need to keep the weeds out of those gravel traps. So they've mentioned having a conversation with Adam Singer, actually, who's heading up this work committee. They've talked about doing that. The next part, of course, as Mike has mentioned a little bit earlier, the bottle bags are in pretty rough shape. So SARL is aware of that and is planning to go out. And their work party is not this coming weekend, not this weekend, but next weekend at the racetrack. So, and I know from my experience, previous, that's SARL. It doesn't mean just because they're organizing work party doesn't mean everybody can't show up and help. So if you have some time next weekend, you'd like to come and give a hand. There's certainly lots of work for everyone. And we'd be happy to receive you and have you if you have some time to volunteer. We're certainly always very, very grateful for that time.
Weekend or just Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday and Sunday, isn't it?
Plan for Saturday and Sunday, but Saturday is the biggest, hoping to get most of the work done.
Yep.
What is it, May what?
May 4th.
May 4th. Yeah.
Oh, it'll be like 9 o'clock or something. AMP time, of course, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Barbecue beer?
none of that's planned, no.
Yeah.
Bring a lunch.
Bring your own barbecue, bring your own beer.
But the bathroom will be working. The comfort station will be up and operational. So, yep, so that's good. So, and a couple other things there. So Marshall stand repair in turn 5 and turn 7. So turn 5, we're kind of hoping, I think at this point, that we can salvage it for another season. Turn 7, we have to stand up. And Mike and I have been talking a little bit about how we're going to get that secured so that we don't end up with it departing every time we get a wind stronger than northeast 10. So we're going to try and figure that out, make sure that we're not picking the stand up every year.
There's some roofing, spare roofing panels in the.
Okay. Broken up. I think I was mentioning 2, there was some problems with panels there with that one. I'm not sure if we're going to use any.
Yeah, the turn 2 stand may be salvageable, but the roof is pooched.
Yep. And so that's the last one, in terms of volunteer work, and we're just gonna have to kind of figure out exactly what needs to be done with that this week. And then that stand will have to be either placed or reconstructed as well before we start here.
With that, we would be discussing that, because if it's on the exit, if it's races right as you go in,
Mhm.
then it covers anything that happens in that corner. If you have it to the exit, then whatever happens before you get there, it would be a waved yellow in 1 and
Yeah.
a steady in 11. So we're down the front straight, there'd be no passing. It'd be a longer.
So it's pretty critical that it's placed.
If it's to the right as you go in, but it also needs to be taller so you can see over the brow towards 3.
Okay. Okay.
Some steps.
That sounds like maybe you should come out to that work party, Andy, and give some instruction.
And nobody will be looking in that area. That's the sad thing about it. At least where it used to be,
You can see it.
nobody had an excuse for not seeing it.
Mhm.
But nobody's going to be looking at
You're
that
right.
area. That's,
Flags and 5.
but it's the proper place to put the stand, but nobody's going to look at it.
Okay.
Traffic lights back where the old stand was.
Do what?
Traffic lights where the old stand was.
Yeah.
If you flow below a couple of black flags.
That's true. That'll stop you. That's right. We'll get you in 2. We'll get you a little later.
But the problem that, from trying to construct that is get a foundation under it. And that area is very soft and wet. And to get back into the hill, it's going to be so far out of the sight line, that won't work either. It's a huge water course. So we've been trying to figure out where we're going to put it.
Unless you pour tons and tons of gravel in there, that's just a soup hole, unless you get back into the bank or into the hill. And then, as you say,
We're too far out of the line.
you're too far off the line at that point. So
Maybe,
I know from mowing experience that until mid to late June, you barely dared to go in there with the mower because it's just so soft and soupy, just a swamp.
so we should have a look at that. This week, I would say, Andy, maybe we can coordinate a look at that. Mike, are you around this week down there?
Where do you think I am?
I know we're gonna be
8
tomorrow, the
o'clock
next day.
tomorrow.
Maybe we take a run down this weekend. We'll talk. Okay. Okay,
Well,
so
after the meeting, you guys stop there. I'll be by in the morning.
Yeah.
that's right.
Wait for me.
Sleep in the truck. Okay,
I've done that.
I know. Okay, guys, so that, unless there's more business from the floor, I guess we got more new business from the floor.
2 things.
Okay.
One is, the radios that we use, Motorola ones, we had been using them basically on a rental license. That wasn't ours.
Okay,
Because Jerry Haywood used to own the company and his son was in there, but that company has lost the Motorola contract.
Okay.
So Craig Haywood now works with another company. So we need to talk to him about if we need parts, but we'd have to get our own major license.
okay.
I don't know. I have to
Do you know what's involved with that?
I don't. I'll find out.
Okay. Well, if you could let us know as soon as you do, Andy, we'll.
The other thing is I was at the track with somebody discussing the PA
Yes.
upgrade. And chap I was up there with, he's like semi-retired, he does about 20 events a day, but he's done as a guy that runs Tortec. And the guy I was with, Garfield, he did a few events at AMP like 30 odd years ago. when the Atlantics were there, 4 years. And he did the PA at the who said Grand Prix in town. So he has some equipment that we can have, which but the actual horns he usually put these drivers in. The PAM we have is fine. Cost to replace the horns, and which would include being able to hear in Camp Kawasaki, and it would put a couple of the older speakers that are already there on the Marshall stand pergola, so you could actually hear
Here at this presentation area.
on the presentation stand instead of feeding back. And it would rewire it, and it would go down to where the last speaker is on the way in.
Okay.
And it was like $4,500 plus tax.
Okay.
But yeah, no money.
Okay. No, I do appreciate you getting good for us too, Andy, on that. And
So whenever anybody shows up at the first event and they can't hear anything, they know how much it's going to cost.
that's right. We're looking for donations. We're trying to raise $4,500. Okay.
Got a curse jar, so every time I go on Twitter.
It's $100 to swear at AMP. Make it quick. Okay, thank you, Andy, because Andy is, we had asked Andy to go and check and have that checked out, and Andy took his time to go and get that done. So that's something we're gonna have to look at when we, as soon as we can afford it.
Well, most of the users need it, so
It's important.
it's not
Not an optional thing.
not really. It sounds like an extravagance to maybe to some of us, but certainly like a group like PCA, they need it.
Yeah, yeah. No, I don't know about everyone else to track. I typically use the radio these days in the, I set a radio up so I can hear what's going on. Yeah, because the PA doesn't work very well. Yeah. Okay. Any other new business from the floor today? No? Okay. So we'll move, we need a vote for that. No votes needed at the end
Don't
of that.
think-
Proposed new business?
We have-
Okay.
There's no motions.
Okay. So, with that, we'll move on to elections. Okay. So the two positions available this year, one is the vice president to replace Brian, who's resigning from the
I
position,
think they're all available, aren't they?
and the tough night, eh?
Let's talk this over.
And the second one, of course, is it's available is treasurer. So I haven't run one of these elections before. So
Ming.
maybe, oh, Ming. Yeah.
Looking to ratify the action.
Yes.
Long time
We did.
ago.
Yeah. Okay. So, okay, so I haven't run an election before in this capacity, so
Any nominations?
any nominations for vice president? Dad? Okay.
Our timing lady and the legendary Gary McKinnon's daughter. Many years, and she wants to help.
Marley, want to just say a few words?
Can I, like, do I accept that?
Do you accept? That's the first one. That's the first one. A few words.
Yes, I accept the nomination.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, hello everyone, I'm Marley McKinnon. I've been hanging around EMP for 49 of the 50 years that this place has been operational. I started with AMCRA, we all remember AMCRA. I did everything from handwriting race results to doing timing with an actual stopwatch to starting races by standing on that rickety old stand protected by hay bales. I moved on to being a senior referee for several years, officiating at lots of events across Canada, different tracks, different clubs, even did an event down at New Hampshire International Speedway once. I took a bit of a break, as many of us do sometimes. And when I came back, it was SARL, and I've been doing timing and scoring for the club for a long time. If anybody's concerned that I'm just a bike person, I do currently work for Honda Canada. I've been with Honda for 12 years. The first 8 years were in the auto division,
where I did everything from sales analyst to territory manager on the auto side. I'm currently in the power sports division. I do dealership development for the country. So cars, bikes, motorsports, passionate about it all.
Okay. You've been around the AMP for a minute, 8 or 9 in a car too.
I have.
That's right.
Shit out of me, but yes, I did. I feel like it was a minute
8 or 9, I think.
and an 8.
Fast.
Yeah.
You and your dad both.
Oh, fast.
Okay,
So yeah,
wonderful. Thank you, Marilyn. So do we have other nominations for the position of vice president? Okay. So is the vote on that point? I guess we have one person.
No, you have to, because she's a new vote in.
Yes.
Replacing Brian.
Okay,
There has to be an actual vote to have her voted in.
okay, all right, so I guess what, so here we go. You can tell I'm pretty new at this. So the vote is to accept the nomination for Marilyn McKinnon to go in. Is that what the motion needs to be?
Dave's done this more than 1,000 times.
Okay, take it away, Dave.
Well, I'm up for election. I can't really
Oh,
do
it's
it.
just,
But
I'm getting
no,
baptized
it-
tonight.
It's just a vote
You don't need a
to,
motion
to confirm
Okay.
that Marley is.
Okay, all right, so let's have a vote. So a vote from the clubs to accept Marilyn McKinnon into the president.
Call for nominations 3 times.
Okay. Seems like everybody else knows a lot more about this than me. So can I have it? So I've done it twice. So the third time, are there any other nominations for the position of vice president for AMP? So that's 3 times by my count. Okay.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'd like to have a vote from the member clubs to accept Marley McKinnon as the new nominee as the new vice president of AMP. So all 4. Okay. Okay. So we've got, let's count them up again. So SARL. That's 7. Okay. We got them all. Okay. Okay. That is unanimous. Well, welcome, Marley. Thank you very much. Oh, okay. So the next part is the nomination for treasurer. Can I have nominations for treasurer for AMP for this year?
Dave is reoffering.
Dave is reoffering. Yep. Yep. Do we need a nomination for Dave, don't we? We need a nomination for Dave, do we not? Need nomination.
Graham,
Call for nomination.
I did, yes. MMSC nominates Dave. Okay, second. Beautiful, for America. Any other nominations for the position of treasurer for AMP? Okay, and for the third and final time, any other nominations for the position of treasurer for AMP? Okay. So, Dave, do you accept the nomination for treasurer for AMP?
Yes, if you still want me after the budget.
Okay. So with that point, I'd like to have a vote from the member clubs to accept Dave as in the position of treasurer for AMP. Okay.
Do it by acclamation.
Okay, that's unanimous. Okay. Well, welcome to Dave. Welcome back.
Thanks.
You can stay right there.
Never been gone, Dave.
Yeah, you'd always
Like-
think so.
It's like you never left.
Yeah, really.
Okay.
Like I told you earlier, once you get the job on these volunteer boards, you're here for life.
Here
Until
for life.
you decide you don't want it
Decide you don't
anymore.
want it, eh? Very good. Okay. Appointments of officers of the society. Want to walk me through this one, Mike?
Well, not a bad gang. You might want to reinvite them to see if they'll come back for another year.
Okay. So you want to just unanimously reinvite everyone to be officers of society again?
Well,
Is that you typically
Well,
do this?
these people are actually appointments, and so it's not a vote
Okay,
thing.
so what is, we've appointed them, so that's.
That gray haired bugger, you should ask him right now. You might not see him for a while.
Yeah.
Wayne?
I have no life.
That is yes.
It's a yes?
Years I've had no life since
So-
I changed.
So yes? All right, great. Welcome back.
I assume Chris is still got no cars?
Okay,
Voluntold?
Chad for motorcycles? Good?
Yep.
Wayne Canfield has said yes to us already, so we got him. Chris McCrae, for cars. Is Chris online tonight?
No, we said we'll assume he is.
Okay,
We'll told him.
okay, ARCA, Arlene Chase for ARCA. Is that, okay? Solo Sport, Ming,
said so.
Ming, you still good?
Ming, you still good?
Oh, Sean?
Yes. Okay, and at large, we have Walter Tennant,
So Ming is good.
Darren Marshall,
Yeah,
and
I'm good.
Stephen Lockhart.
I'm
Darren
good.
online?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. And Mr. Lockhart?
I'm good.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, welcome back.
Thank you.
I'll talk to Walter. I hear from him
Talk to Walter.
several times a week.
Cars, we have Chris McCrae.
We're voluntolding him.
We're being voluntold a little bit unless there's some other thoughts that
Did you have someone else? you were-
someone else, Debbie, that we should be considering in that position or?
No, I had, no. On clarify.
Okay. All right. So we've reached the end of our schedule. See, 5-10 minutes, we get this stuff done,
Now
no
there's
problem.
Now you need, you make a motion.
So,
You ask for a motion.
so I'd like a motion to adjourn the meeting today. Okay, no, that's a lot of votes. Pick one. And second? Great, MMSC. And
And
that's it.
Stacy.
Yeah, Stacy, sure. Wonderful. Thank you all very much for your time this evening. Call for the vote. Okay,
Yes.
man.
All those-
Okay,
All those
so
in favor.
all those in favor?
Have a German.
Adjournment. Okay.
Unanimous.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you for your time tonight, everyone here and everyone online. We really appreciate it, and thank you for your input tonight. And we'll look forward to working with you throughout this year and beyond.
Thank you to the executive.
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you to Ming for, of course, handling all of our technical support here this evening.
What?
That's a big TV to me.
Oh.
Oh.
Excellent.
Oh,
Like I always say.
You for all your work. No, it's really been a pleasure as well, absolutely.
No, you had to take the day off work.
I did, I'm not going anywhere. We got some more things to tidy up and all that stuff.
You still got some work to do, right? Well, okay, I'll work my way through it. Thanks for the help.
No problem.
Try and do better next year, all of our voting and motions, and that mucked me up pretty good a few times. Just trying to get a motion right there for a while. It was Fuck.
Well, I did.
You're pretty.
This one should hold up, not that this.
No, we should, I'll try and get a number.
Thank you for your vote. Yes.
Yes, do that.
Feels like
So maybe-
And throwing the way we chose the date, through a real spitball in. So.